Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 861-880. Chapter 0861-2 Ferrets. Sasuke Uchiha is mentally exhausted and after Uchiha Itachi couldn't get up again, his tense nerves relaxed all of a sudden, and he sat down on the ground with a dumbfounded expression. What does it feel like to have a great revenge? Sasuke Uchiha stared at the grass under his feet in a daze. If you want to ask him what he feels, it is probably a kind of emptiness, the goal that he has always insisted on, the goal that is out of reach. After being killed, he will neither feel joy, satisfaction, nor sorrow or pain, but a kind of confusion. After a while, Vivi raised his head and looked at Madara Uchiha, and his pupils shrank at this sight. Who are you? What do you think? Rinnegan, who was Phantom Uchiha Madara, degenerated rapidly and changed back to Sangoyu. You don't know these eyes. Writing wheel eye. Uchiha Sasuke was shocked. Although wearing a mask, under the mask, those scarlet eyes are absolutely infallible. In addition to the ancestors, Itachi, and him, are there people from the Uchiha clan. I'm Madara Uchiha, Genshin said 283. You're tired from a big battle, take a rest, and when you wake up, I'll tell you the truth. These words seemed to have the ability to hypnotize. Uchiha Sasuke's eyelids were heavy, drooping, and gradually fell into a deep sleep. Of course it wasn't an illusion, but a powerful pupil force that directly crushed it, forcing the opponent to fall into sleep. Next. Speaking softly, Madara Uchiha looked at the fallen Uchiha Itachi. In its dark shadow, the shadow demon slowly emerged. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi, who was dying, also regained control of his body. Cough cough, as soon as he regained his freedom, he immediately felt a serious injury to his body. The hole in his mouth not only smashed his internal organs, but also affected his heart. In a few seconds, he would probably die. Looking at you, you seem to have something to say. Yin Yao shook his head and said, I'm wondering who we are and why do we do this? Actually, what can you do if you know it? It's better to go to Elysium with peace of mind. Is it? Uchiha Itachi said with difficulty. I can probably guess what you want to do. Ahem, forgive me, Sasuke. As soon as he finished speaking, his right hand, which was pressed under him, quietly formed a seal C. In the next instant, a black crow flew down. This is a very special crow. Its left eye is a special writing wheel eye, a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Ming. Not Itachi's own big windmill shape, but a shuriken shape. The crow landed on Uchiha Itachi's head, but looked up at Madara Uchiha. Protect Sasuke, protect Konoha, don't be a god. The crow's left eye suddenly projected a huge pupil power, which was called the most powerful illusion. It allows the caster to invade the subject's brain and modify the opponent's will. Uchiha Shisui's left eye is in your hand. I've always known about this kind of thing. Do you think he'll be unguarded? The phantom body Uchiha Madara couldn't help but sneer. The moment he finished speaking, the crow's left eye exploded with a puff, turning into a puddle of rotten flesh. What? Uchiha Itachi opened his mouth, and suddenly spit out an old school, impossible, why? This is Shisui's eyes, and it failed to try to modify Uchiha Madara's will. Uchiha Itachi, do you understand the essence of illusion? Madara Uchiha said lightly, when a person dreams of lack of oxygen in his sleep, his body will really die of lack of oxygen. Similarly, people will also be scalded to death by cold water and frozen to death by hot water. It's the body's response when the brain is tricked. This is nothing new, scientists have done research on Earth. And illusions rely on this. The more real illusions, the greater the power. On the contrary, if people can see through false illusions at a glance, the power is limited. With a chuckle, Madara Uchiha said, then, how to judge true or false? It's very simple, knowledge. Truth. There is a qualitative gap between your and my understanding of the truth and essence of the world, so your illusion is right. My effect is very weak. Quote. Having said this, he paused, then shook his head and said, "Of course, this refers to general illusions. The power of Byaetianshan, which is so powerful to modify the rules, obviously does not belong to this category. The reason why it doesn't work for me is because it's easier to you think I'll be defenseless. To be honest, I'm not prepared at all, and even if I knew you had this move, I wasn't prepared." "Why? Who are you? Don't you understand? Relying on the pupil technique of Shanyan, the most fundamental power is pupil power. When the pupil power gap is multiples, what do you think it can do to me? The result is very simple. Weak pupil strength. I bounced back and devoured it." So the crow's eyeball exploded all at once. Uchiha Itachi understood. He slowly closed his eyes, his breathing gradually disappeared, and he completely lost his voice. "So Sasuke. This time, it is completely dead." Shadow demons can see that Uchiha Itachi's soul is heading to another world. Shan, really a good brother. At the last moment of his life, he thought about protecting his younger brother and Konoha. Shadow demon Tisk Tisk praised. "Then, the real Itachi has disappeared. Our Itachi can also make some arrangements in the future." Saying that, he crouched beside Uchiha Itachi, and stretched out his hand to take out the pair of kaleidoscope writing wheels. The next step is to transplant it to Sasuke Uchiha. Putting a pair of eyeballs into the container, the shadow demon shouted to the side, "Orochimaru, this corpse, please bury it properly. He is a respectable person, so don't desecrate his corpse." "Who the hell is desecrating the corpse?" A small snake swam over and slowly turned into Orochimaru. He stared at those eyeballs greedily, sticking out his long tongue. "I just felt that Itachi was in a wrong situation. It turned out that you were controlling him. It's a creepy power. Stop talking nonsense. Take care of the body and bury it in Konoha. Don't think about doing anything, otherwise, I won't mind letting you go." The shadow demon scolds. The phantom body Uchiha Madara looked sideways, looked at the dried persimmon ghost shark. "Stop." The dried persimmon shark's body froze. "Is it found out?" "It's not necessary. I didn't do anything, and I didn't see anything. If I say this, you won't let me go, will you?" "No, I just got you a new partner." The phantom body Uchiha Madara flicked his fingers, and suddenly, a white light flashed, and the next moment, a figure suddenly appeared. "No, it's impossible." The dried persimmon shark looked shocked. Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 0862 A man named Feijuan moved his hand. "And GT. Are you the one who stole the sealed book?" The dried persimmon ghost shark had a ghostly expression on his face. Although camouflage is not uncommon, it is incredible to be able to do it like this. Even the breath and the writing wheel are exactly the same. Hearing this, the phantom body Uchiha Itachi looked calm and did not fluctuate. He first glanced at the dead Uchiha Itachi, then looked at the dried persimmon ghost shark, and said, "You misunderstood 2 points. First, the writing wheel is different. Second, I am Uchiha Itachi himself. No presence exists. Of combat power, it is much more than the real Itachi." "What do you mean? You want to say that there are 2 identical people in the world?" Not only the dried persimmon, but also Orochimaru was shocked. This sudden appearance of Uchiha Itachi is even more surprising than Sasuke killing Itachi. "You don't need to understand." The phantom body Uchiha Itachi said calmly. "The Akatsuki organization has already prepared to start the tailed beast capture plan. What are you in charge of?" 4 tails. The dried persimmon ghost shark has no intention of concealing it. It is a question whether he can leave alive today. Now that he is not honest, he is afraid that he will explain it here. He does not feel that he is the opponent of the 4 in front of him, one-on-one. He still has the confidence to escape. 4-1, he can't even escape. By the way, Itachi is in charge of catching Yao. Really? Itachi Uchiha nodded. Next, I'll be your partner in action. Go catch the 4 tails first, then the 8 tails. After he finished speaking, he walked over to Uchiha Itachi's body, took out the scroll, and then sealed it into the scroll queue, before catching the tailed beast, go to Konoha and bury him. Let's go, Ghost Shark. X. The dried persimmon ghost shark was a little stunned, and then suddenly reacted. Dove occupies the magpie's nest, is that what you said? You want to break into the Shao organization and become an undercover agent. Saying that, he hurriedly followed, I don't care, but pain is not so easy to be deceived. I said, I'm Itachi. Watching the two go away, Orochimaru couldn't help but say, don't you explain it. It's really curious, how did this happen? Clone, or copy Itachi and inject another soul. Or, like the shadow demon just now, directly control a corpse. Obviously, the shadow demon was not interested in explaining to him, you don't need to know, remember to prepare 400 scrolls as soon as possible, I'll be patient. Then, as soon as the voice fell, he turned into a cloud of black smoke and disappeared. 7T_. The black smoke condensed into a card and fell into Orochimaru's hand. Orochimaru was speechless for a while, and had to look at Madara Uchiha, are you really Madara? It was you who came to see me for the first time. Madara Uchiha wasn't interested in talking nonsense either, so he pulled Sasuke up directly, when he wakes up, I'm going to perform a transplant operation on him and arrange a quiet room for me. I see. Orochimaru had no choice but to nod. A few days later, Konoha village. Jirai also went out to find Tsunade, but he didn't want Tsunade to bring his apprentice back. The upper level of Konoha was naturally very happy, and regardless of Jiraiya, after a simple ceremony, Tsunade succeeded and became the 5th Hokage. Below the Hokage Rock, the temporarily new Hokage building has been established, and with the help of the wooden ninja, the reconstruction of the village is proceeding quickly. After more than 10 days of rest, Konoha village has returned to its former appearance. Although it is not prosperous, it is enough to accommodate the people. At this moment, in the Hokage building. In the office, Tsunade looked at the pile of documents with a headache. Really, should I really come back and take this position? Tsunade was a little irritated. Mute on the side smiled bitterly. Master Tsunade, now you are the 5th Hokage, it is too late to say this. Besides, you are not. Do you want to resurrect your dead brother? I know, I'm just complaining a few words. Tsunade shook his head, opened the first document, and began to read. The village's Zuli disappeared. Why is no one dealing with such an important matter? Naruto Uzumaki, the child of the 4th Hokage. She looked down and saw information about Sasuke Uchiha and information about Shin Uchiha. 9 flowers. What a joke, I won't be there for a while, so many bizarre things happened in Konoha. Tsunade looked inexplicable. What Uchiha ancestor? Where did it come from? Does the death of the 3rd generation have anything to do with his escape? After flipping through the documents for half an hour, I just got up and said, inform all the Shangnin, I want to carry out the resurrection experiment. No, the resurrection ceremony, the power of the phoenix feather. Try it first, you can't revive all those who died in the battle. I hope that person doesn't lie to me. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Mute nodded hurriedly and went to inform Junin. At the same time, outside Konoha village. Mr. Itachi, is it possible that we are going to invade Konoha? The dried persimmon ghost shark couldn't help but said, now Konoha is in a rush, and we will be found as soon as we enter. If we just place the remains, we can act at night. You invaded through the gate. The phantom body Uchiha Itachi calmly instructed, you go to attract attention, I will go to Konoha's cemetery and place the remains. Well, even if the 3rd generation is dead, there are still many experts in Konoha. Isn't this too reckless? The dried persimmon ghost shark is a little frightened, but it's not that he is afraid, but he just thinks, is it necessary? Why does he want to attract firepower for this number 2 Itachi? He has already escaped anyway, or he should find a chance to run away. Uchiha Itachi has a left eye that stops water, and the power of the host is stronger than that of Baidianshin, which can completely modify a person's brain. Itachi Phantom glanced at him and said, "Do you think I can't have this ability?" The dried persimmon ghost shark's heart froze and said with a dry smile, "Rest in peace, leave it to me." With that said, he will immediately charge in the direction of Konoha's east gate. At the moment he started, Itachi also quietly left and entered Konoha from the other direction. Konoha Cemetery, in front of the tomb of 3 generations. Tsunade stood quietly, staring silently, her expression a little complicated. "You must be very uncomfortable to die at the hands of your disciple. Don't worry, I will definitely take Orochimaru's head and pay homage to you." Saying that, she took out a colorful feather. "Although that person said that he couldn't revive you, I'll try." Tsunade frowned and scolded, "Who?" She looked sideways and saw Uchiha Itachi standing there a dozen steps away. Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 0863-Resurrection. "This is a grand invasion, don't you take the village too seriously." Hearing this, Wanshin Itachi was unsmiling and indifferent. "Congratulations on your succession to the position of the 5th Hokage. It seems that the upper management has not told you about me. His identity is undercover, at least for Konoha executives. This is not a secret. 5 years ago, he received a high-level order to kill the Uchiha clan, which became a rebellion, and then joined Akatsuki to contain Akatsuki and prevent him from doing anything to Konoha. In addition, the bigger purpose is to inspire Sasuke Uchiha so that he has an object and target of hatred, and one day, after killing him again, he can open the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye." "What are you doing here?" Tsunade frowned. She was a little uncertain about Uchiha Itachi's attitude, and at the same time felt that things were not that simple. "Tell you a piece of information," Itachi said. "Nine-tailed Manzuli Uzumaki Naruto is in the hands of Akatsuki. Because the nine-tailed body is no longer in his body, pain did not strip his tailed beast power." "What?" Tsunade was taken aback. "If you want to save him, you can go to Urin village. He should have been sent there by now. It is the base camp of the Akatsuki organization." Uchiha Itachi looked directly at Tsunade, and his tone was calm. "Besides, Aikito Riki and Gaara of Sand Ninja Village are also there, but his words are already dead. Of course he lost his life." Hearing this, Tsunade was in shock, not knowing whether the news was true or not. If it's fake, that guy's purpose is to lure them to Reinin village, where there are traps. But if this is the case, it is obviously too contrived for the other party to come directly to inform this kind of information, so the possibility is actually higher. "If you want to save Renzuli, you have to do it as soon as possible. Then, I've finished speaking, farewell." Quote. "Wait for me, speak clearly." Tsunade frowned and immediately wanted to stop it, but Itachi's body turned into a black crow and flew away. "Anyone." Tsunade was very upset, but there was nothing he could do. At this time, Mute ran over from a distance and said, "Lord Tsunade, Joinin has been summoned, please go." "I know." Tsunade nodded, glanced at the tomb of the 3 generations again, and after some hesitation, he chose to give up. There is only one phoenix feather. Compared with the 3rd generation, the rest of the people who died in the war are more important. Resurrecting them can stabilize the hearts of Konoha's impetuous people. Come on, Mute. And he looked sideways at a tombstone on his left. There is no inscription on the inscription, it seems that it has just been erected. Is there such a tombstone here? Tsunade asked. I don't know, I didn't pay attention. It seems like there is, but it doesn't seem to be there. Who could it be? Didn't even leave a name. Mute is full of doubts. Forget it, let's go to the meeting place first. Tsunade shook his head, didn't think much, greeted his apprentice, and quickly left this place full of twilight. Soon after, Konoha East Gate. The 10-meter ninjas of the Konoha patrol all fell to the ground, screaming in pain. In front of this group of people, the dried persimmon ghost shark was carrying a big knife with a spare expression on his face. Suddenly, a figure fell. Mr. Itachi, have you resolved it? Quote. Let's go, Ghost Shark. You. Itachi didn't say anything and went out of the village. Bing. Wait, you are Itachi Uchiha, you too came to the village, what are you? Falling to the ground, there is still a breath of special Jonin, gritted his teeth and shouted. Mr. Itachi, is it better to just kill it? The dried persimmon ghost shark glanced at him, raised the shark muscle sword, and prepared to smash the opponent to death. Leave him alone, let's go. Well, if you say so, then spare his life. The dried persimmon ghost shark didn't care, he put the big knife on his back and followed slowly. Next. 4 Tails. Under the Hokage rock, the Konoha group gathered together. Kakashi, Sunset Red, Matekai, Hyuga Hazu, Oil Girl Shiwei, Yamanaka Kaiichi, Autumn Dodo Dingza, Nara Shikaku, etc., dozens of people, not including some special ones. Of course, Konoha Anbu and Genbu's Joinin did not come. These 2 departments, Tsunade, who had just succeeded to the throne, could not be mobilized, especially Genbu, who was almost a private soldier of Danzo. At this moment, Tsunade and Mute came together and walked in front of everyone. Sir Tsunade, you called us, what do you mean? Asked one of the Junin. I have traveled abroad for many years, and I have gained a lot. I asked you to gather this time to witness one thing, and at the same time, just in case. Quickly speaking, Tsunade unfolded the phoenix feather in his hand. This is the legendary phoenix feather, which has the power to revive the dead. What, Sean? Resurrection of the dead. Phoenix feathers. A group of people looked at each other in dismay, and the military Nara Shikahisa even blinked. Master Tsunade, if what you said is true, do you want it? That's right, I want to resurrect those who died in World War I. Tsunade said solemnly, I have read the information, and a total of 3,000 or 4,000 people have died. I don't know if so many people can be resurrected at one time, and I can't guarantee that the resurrection will be smooth, so I call you, in the event of an accident, stop it now. Got it. She has not completely trusted the Holy Archangel, so this experiment needs to convene so many Shengnin to ensure that even if there is a problem, the harm can be minimized. However, her words were too unbelievable for Shenjin. Resurrection of the dead, this kind of thing is too bizarre, even Kakashi didn't believe it for the first time. I know you have a lot of doubts, but please don't ask too much. This is what I have worked so hard to get. Seeing is believing. Rao is Tsunade 3.7 is thick-skinned, and feels a little ashamed. This feather was given by others. Although there is a price to pay later, the price is too cheap. Shaking her head, she temporarily put aside the extra thoughts and began to carry out the resurrection ceremony in earnest. Crowd recovery. Tsunade closed his eyes, thinking about the death list in his mind. The next moment, the phoenix feathers radiated colorful brilliance and suddenly rose up, turning into a colorful red light, rushing into the sky. Immediately afterwards, colorful lights illuminated the entire Konoha village. Like a dead tree in spring, all things grow, and a majestic anger begins to permeate. The entire Konoha, like falling into a fairyland, the remains of those who died, and the many remains stacked in the morgue, were projected by colorful lights one by one. Even those with incomplete corpses have their souls recalled from the afterlife by this power. I come back to life. Feng. Chapter 0864-I1 and Village of the Land of the Earth. This scene can be seen for hundreds of miles. The phoenix feather from the Master of Life summoned the soul of the Kingdom of Heaven to return, and restored the broken corpse to its original appearance, filled with chi and blood, and repaired the injury. This is like a miraculous scene, which keeps appearing in the morgue. The dead ninjas and civilians slowly opened their eyes. I come back to life. Several logistical ninjas who were in charge of caring for the corpse were all trembling with fright. Quick, go and report to Hokage-sama. A few minutes later, under Hokage Rock, Tsunade got the news. Lord Hokage, in the temporary morgue, all the people who died have been restored and resurrected. Hearing this news, the dozens of Junin present were inexplicably shocked. Hey, it turns out to be true, Tsunade-sama. How is it possible? It is really resurrected. Phoenix feathers, resurrecting the dead Tsunade-sama, is this really not a dream? A group of people felt incredible. Even Kakashi's eyes widened, and the next moment, he remembered the scene 2 months ago. At that time, Uchiha Itachi suddenly appeared, and he was defeated by the opponent's move, Tsuki Reading. At that time, in the reading space, Uchiha Itachi had a conversation with him. In the world, there is the power to resurrect the dead. As long as you pay a certain price, your father and even your former teammate, Lin, can be resurrected. Want to know? Come to me when you make up your mind. At that time, Kakashi didn't believe it, and even after that, he just thought it was strange why Uchiha Itachi would say such a thing. But at this moment, seeing this, behind the scenes today, he was shaken. Bing! This kind of incredible thing turns out to be true. Can it really be resurrected? He stared blankly at Tsunade, but found that even Tsunade himself was stunned. He didn't lie to me. Tsunade only had this thought left in his mind, and at the same time he was shocked, but also felt a joy and hope that did not come. Scrolls. Need enough ninjutsu scrolls to exchange for Phoenix Feather, Rope Tree. Tsunade's eyes flickered, and she quickly returned to normal. She immediately ordered. Everyone listen to the order. Everyone has just been resurrected, and they are still in a panic. You go to maintain order and explain the situation. As for the resurrection, there is no need to hide it, but the matter of the Phoenix Feather must be kept secret after all. Kakashi, come with me. Yes, Tsunade-sama. At this moment, Tsunade's prestige was instantly established. With the means of resurrecting the dead, the importance of Tsunade has been elevated to an incomparable level. Anyone can die, in missions, or on the battlefield. At that time, they have to look up to Tsunade-sama to save them. At the same time, 10 miles away from Konoha village, 2 figures slowly walked on the road. The dried persimmon ghost shark looked back at the vision from Konoha. Mr. Itachi, that rainbow light is Konoha, what happened? No reply. Itachi Phantom lacked even interest in speaking. Of course he knew what happened, and he could guess it. This scene was all too familiar. Back in the Death God world, King Ho resurrected more than 100,000 people in one breath, and the red light that appeared was much larger than the current one. Konoha has gained the power to resurrect the dead, Union has gained the power of ghosts, Wuin village will gain more attributes, the 3 great powers have been strengthened, and war will soon break out. The dream has strengthened the 3 parties respectively, and the Kingdom of Thunder and the Kingdom of Water will inevitably start a war. At that time, 9 times out of 10, Konoha will fight against 2 with 1, or even with 1 against 4, and Konoha has the power to resurrect the dead. But not easily defeated. The scale of the war is bound to be huge, until the scene is completely run away. And in between, the dream can almost hollow out the scrolls of the entire ninja world. At that time, the collection of scrolls will basically be completed. Even if it is impossible to empty the ninja world, the power of the 5 major countries can basically collect 70 or 80% of the ninjutsu of the entire ninja world. Next, it's the land of the land. I hope Akatsuki can collect the tailed beasts as soon as possible and combine them into 10 tails. As for Kagaya, she should be resurrected. Regarding the sacred tree, it is still very important. The land of earth, located in the northwest of the land of fire, is also the upper left corner of the map. Most of the country is made of desolate rock walls, and the rocks in the country seem to exist along the border, thus blocking the communication between the land and other countries. In addition, the wind blowing from the north will cross the mountains and blow the small rocks in the country to other countries. This natural phenomenon called rock rain is very famous. After 3 days of unhurried travel, the phantom body weasel and the dried persimmon ghost shark entered the territory of the land. Along the way, all they saw were weathered rocks, and the scenery was very strange. Half a day after invading the border, the phantom body Itachi and the dried persimmon ghost shark walked in a desert area, Suddenly, the dry persimmon ghost shark spoke in a low voice and said, "Is the country of Earth so vigilant? Can you find intruders near the border, and then gather troops to encircle and suppress them here? There are natural protective walls in the land of the Earth, and there are only a few key entrances, so naturally there are people guarding them." Itachi said indifferently, "Resolve it as soon as possible. After the 4 tails, we have to arrest the 8 tails." "Okay, Mr. Itachi. It's okay to kill, right?" Gengan Persimmon Ghost Shark let out a snort, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. 8 people, 2 Junin, give me 3 minutes. It doesn't matter. The Phantom Itachi did not stop, and continued to move forward slowly. Hearing this, the dried persimmon ghost shark rushed out immediately. As he ran forward, he quickly formed a seal, water escape, great waterfall technique. Boom boom boom. In the desert, a large amount of water seemed to appear out of thin air, such as the fountain 807, which surged up quickly, lifted the dried persimmon ghost shark, and then suddenly shot it forward. Several ninjas who were hiding in the desert underground suddenly thought badly and jumped out one after another. Stop the invaders. Earth escape, earth flow wall. At the same time, the other direction of the land of the country's borders. 2 men in black robes with red clouds were walking among the dead. Above one of them, hovering a large white bird. The bird is not real, but made of clay. The other hunched his back and walked in the desert, leaving a shallow trace. Scorpion, I found something interesting. Deidara showed an interesting expression. What? To the east, about 4 or 5 kilometers away from us, we saw Itachi and ghost sharks. Hearing this, the red sand scorpion was unmoved, and said in a hoarse voice, "Don't worry about them, their goal is 4 tails, our goal is 5 tails, each do their own thing." As expected of a ghost shark, he has already solved his opponent. Deidara's cheerful Isho, Vivi squinted his eyes, and said, "I had to join Akatsuki when I lost to Itachi. Now is a rare opportunity, what if I don't take revenge? Go." Quote. He drank softly, and the big white bird hovering high in the sky suddenly flew in that direction. You said, if I kill Itachi, will pain trouble me? Who knows, probably not. Dead people are worthless. But you can make me a puppet. Chapter 0865_art is explosion. In the pools of blood of the 2 Yenian village teams, their blood was soaked in the wind and sand, dyeing the earth blood red. It took 5 minutes, these 2 Shangren are really not bad. The dried persimmon ghost shark put away the shark muscle sword, walked over to a corpse, and looked at it for a while. They are all ninjas who are good at earth escape, and their defensive ability is indeed stronger than the general tolerance. 2 teams, 8 ninjas, 2 of them are upper and 6 are lower. However, only 7 corpses fell on the ground, and the 8th corpse eventually turned into a handful of lowest. One got away, you think, Mr. Itachi? It doesn't matter. Wanshin Itachi was very calm. He was afraid that people from Yenian village would take the initiative to come to trouble them. He happened to catch a few important people and asked Renzuli where he was. Speaking of which, Yenian village has 2 people, one with 4 tails and one with 5 tails. Suddenly, Wanshin Itachi's eyes narrowed and he looked up suddenly. I saw above the sky, a big white bird, swooping down. Deidara. The big bird went straight down, aiming at the Phantom Itachi, and when it got close to within 5 meters, it suddenly swelled. Boom! In the roar, the fire soared into the sky, swallowing the phantom body Itachi at once. Meanwhile, several kilometers away. Art is a blast. Deidara grinned Isho, on target. Don't take it for granted, that's Uchiha Itachi, it's impossible to kill him with this method. The red sand scorpion was very calm. I didn't expect you to really dare to do it. Now if you're wiser, just leave quickly, you have no chance of winning, those eyes don't depend on your art. Can be dealt with. XR. Such a loud explosion, even if it was separated by several kilometers, he could hear it clearly. Especially the vibration from the earth, although it is very slight, the perception of the red sand scorpion is very keen and can be clearly judged. Brother Scorpion, I don't think I can kill him this time, but if you have no intentions, even if it's Itachi, you will suffer a lot. Deidara is a little proud. No matter how powerful the Sharingan is, he can't treat him a few kilometers apart, can he? However, as soon as his voice fell, a cold air suddenly came from behind. Deidara's complexion changed, and he turned around suddenly, looking in the direction of the previous explosion. He was a little surprised and thought, what is that? Just a moment ago, I actually felt a gaze impossible. This is 3 or 4 kilometers away. How could his pupil power be projected over? Then this, how did you find him here? Yin. At the moment he spoke just now, Deidara felt, a pair of eyes appeared behind him, like a high god, looking down at the person who offended him. Damn it, I won't be afraid, Deidara thought discontentedly. I can't believe that you can project your power here at such a distance. Are you all right, Mr. Itachi? Are you dead? The dried persimmon ghost shark hid far away and looked calmly into the firelight. I saw the flames soaring into the sky, like a flood that released a gate, pouring in towards a strange gourd and disappearing in an instant. This time, he saw everything clearly. Around the body of the phantom Itachi, a half-body warrior appeared, and the gourd attached to the warrior's waist absorbed all the flames. Is this a spiritual tool? Dried persimmon ghost shark was taken aback. Katakana middle dot as he said that, Susanoo quickly dissipated. You. The phantom Itachi said lightly that it was simply a child's nonsense. Yeah. Deidara. The dried persimmon ghost shark followed his gaze. I didn't see a figure, it should have been an attack from a long distance. Hey, what are you going to do, Mr. Itachi? He was rather gloating. Since it's a child's nonsense, it's natural to be taught a lesson. Speaking softly, Itachi phantom formed a seal on his hands, the technique of crow avatars. Puff. His body suddenly spread out, turned into a black crow in the sky, and flew away quickly. There's a good show to watch now. Dried persimmon ghost shark grinned, dodged, and quickly followed. How does this number 2 Itachi compare to the real weasel? He still cares about this, and now is a rare opportunity. How could he let it go? Thousands of meters away. The red sand scorpion's eyes narrowed, and he said in a low voice, come on. While speaking, he jumped to the side of the tall stone pillar. The stone pillar was originally a big rock, but under the wind and weathering, it became a strangely shaped pillar. Don't think I'll help you, I don't want to be an enemy of that guy. Brother Scorpion, just watch it from the side, I'll pay him back today. Deidara sneered twice. Art is eternal, what kind of writing wheel, in front of my art, fundamentally. Ga. Black crow chirping. Suddenly, a group of black crows appeared in the sky. Is greater than or equal to. The raven crossed like a black shadow and quickly condensed into a human-shaped Q. Even if it's me, this kind of joke can't be ignored. Have you made up your mind? Phantom Itachi spoke indifferently. Come on so fast. Deidara dripped cold sweat on his forehead, but he obviously wouldn't admit it in face. When you and Xiao Nan and the others came to find me, I was careless when I lost to you at that time. Don't think that this time, your eyes are still there. Use the same trick on me. As he spoke, he reached out and took off the hat on his head, then spread out his left hand. I saw a strange mouth above its palm, chewing white clay. The next moment, the mouth spit out a small spider. Except. Deidara swung abruptly and spilled the spider in his hand. Art is an explosion. Drink. Dozens of small spiders, like living creatures, suddenly covered the whole body of the phantom Itachi, and then, with a loud shout from Deidara, they exploded. Boom. The country of soil, Yinian village. Lord Toying, an intruder has been found at the border. Inside the stone room, a Jonin knelt down on one knee and said very quickly, information from the direction of the border. 2 intruders, whose identities have been confirmed, are Konoha S rank traitor Uchiha Itachi, and missed hidden S-rank betrayal and forbearance dry persimmon ghost shark. What? On the seat, a short old man said in surprise. These two rebels I remember being a member of a mercenary organization, the Shao organization. How are the people from the border patrol? Are there any contacts? A battle broke out, and the two teams, except for one genin, have been annihilated. Boom _ Toyin slammed the table angrily, and stood up with a face full of anger. It's really arrogant. Is this a provocation? Can you destroy two teams, and deliberately let go of a lower ninja? Let the people from the upper ninja class gather. Yes. No, the old man will go in person. Chapter-861-complete body Susano. Earth. In the firelight, Itachi's body was torn into pieces, but the next moment, it turned into a black crow flying all over the sky and regrouped elsewhere. Want to run? Deidara's power was unforgiving, and the scattered white spiders came out from the ground under the foot of the phantom Itachi and got close to his trousers again. Drink. With another loud shout, the dozen or so little spiders immediately began to swell, emitting a fiery red light, and finally turned into a loud noise. Boom. In the smoke and dust, Itachi jumped up and jumped onto a boulder behind him. The next moment, he formed a lightning seal, opened his mouth and spit out, fire escape, the technique of balsam. Like a missile, a wisp of flame suddenly spread out and poured towards Deidara not far away. This attack can't hit me. Deidara snorted coldly and immediately threw out a piece of clay of a white bird. Then, with a puff, the clay bird turned into a real big bird. He jumped up and flew high into the sky, avoiding all attacks. Itachi, can you understand? Only the beauty of an instant can be called art. 933 I will create the greatest art in the world, the beauty of a moment, give you unforgettable feelings, sublimate your soul, and at the same time, make you become for nothing. Deidara watched from a distance, while his left hand stretched into a bag around his waist, and the big mouth in the palm of his hand was rejecting the white clay in the bag. He was always paying attention, not looking into the other's eyes. Once matched, he will be instantly killed. However, it is not easy to do this. In the battle of masters, it is almost instinctive to look at each other's eyes. From the eyes, you can judge a lot of things, and even guess the opponent's mind. Phew. Since the loss to Itachi, Deidara has practiced a lot, and it is not blocked at the moment. Bing. Art, philosophy, young people better not touch these things. Itachi said lightly, once you go deep, the whole person will be neurotic. What did you say? Deidara looked unhappy. Sure enough, you can't understand the beauty of art. Art is an explosion. He shouted loudly, and suddenly, a white centipede emerged from the boulder at the foot of Huanshen Itachi. It seems to be a hunter who has been lurking for a long time. Once it moves, it will kill with one hit. Then 10 meters long, appeared quietly, and immediately wrapped the phantom body around it. Do you think you'll be unprepared for anything? Take a good look at the art of the moment. The power of this is 5 times that of the clay bird just now. The red light flickered, and the centipede's body cracked with lines, from which a magma-like red appeared. Seeing this, Wanton Itachi was not in a hurry, his eyes narrowed, and Sengoyu instantly turned into a big windmill. Susano. Boom. The big explosion, shock and heat spread out in an instant, sweeping the earth. The rocks under his feet were swept away like dust, and the wind and waves were like a hurricane, and the flames were rolled into the sky, like a fire tornado. Success. Deidara narrowed his eyes, looking down at the scene below from a high altitude. No, that's what. A shadow of a samurai slowly stretched out in the flames. First the skeleton, then covered with flesh, and then the armor. In the end, the half-body warrior wrapped the phantom Itachi inside to defend against all attacks. It has an orange-red incorporeal great sword in its hand, and it slashed with a sword, and the fire tornado was immediately split open. This is called Susanohu, the ability of a double-eye kaleidoscope, the ultimate ninjutsu that combines offense and defense. What a huge chakra! Not far away, the red sand scorpion felt secretly shocked. It's just the materialization of chakra. Itachi's chakra, is it so strong? Itachi's combat power is indeed very high. Even in Akatsuki's organization, it is in the forefront, but the chakra he possesses is not very high. But the phantom body Itachi at this moment is much stronger than before. At least chakra is stronger than what the red sand scorpion knows. Attack and defense or integrated shakers actually have this ability. Deidara's face suddenly turned bad. He didn't even know this move. That is to say, when Uchiha Itachi defeated him, he didn't do his best at all, and basically solved him by relying on illusions. HMPH, it seems that the centipede was defended by that, and the defense is very high. It is worth a try with C3. Thinking like this, he retracted his left hand from the bag, and then kneaded, gradually forming a white puppet. My clay bombs are divided into 4 levels according to their power levels. The spiders and centipedes just now are only C1, but this doll, number 18 feet, has reached C3. The calculated power is enough for one shot. Destroy a village, then. In a low voice, Deidara dropped the head-sized white doll in his hand towards the phantom Itachi below. Go, number 18. The instant it was thrown, he quickly formed the seal. The next moment, the white puppet suddenly became dozens of times bigger, like a big Buddha, and slowly fell. This bastard, even I will be involved. The pupils of the red sand scorpion shrank, and immediately prepared to evacuate, at least a few kilometers away. In the face of this blow, the phantom body Itachi couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He is no stranger to this trick. In the original book, this trick almost razed the entire sand ninja village to the ground. As far as destructive power is concerned, this guy is one of the best. Itachi looked at all this calmly, and then slowly formed a seal with his hands, complete body Susanoo. Boom! Susanoo, who was wrapping him, suddenly began to strengthen, his half-body grew rapidly, and even his schwang legs evolved. Not only that, but behind it, a pair of wings grew, and under the wings, Susanoo suddenly flew up. What? Deidara was stunned. Can this move go further? Susanoo broke away from the phantom Itachi, abandoned defense, and chose the maximum offensive ability. It walked towards the white puppet, and after it got close, the 10-fist sword it held high slammed down. Not good. Deidara secretly said in his heart, and immediately shouted, "Explode." As soon as the words fell, at the moment when the 10-fist sword slashed the puppet, the white puppet also had a shocking explosion. Boom! Like a small Yuan Zidan, the sky was instantly dyed orange-red by firelight, and it rose in midair like a small sun. Even if it was dozens of kilometers away, it could be clearly seen. The manic typhoon set off wind and waves and raised everything within a radius of several kilometers to the ground. The dried persimmon ghost shark, the red sand scorpion, and even Deidara himself were affected by this move. And right below this big explosion, Itachi was the first among them. At the same time, a pair of people and horses are rushing in from hundreds of miles away from the handover site. Suddenly, an earth-shattering explosion shocked everyone. Tu Ying's complexion changed slightly, and he suddenly flew into the air, looking into the distance with a dull expression. This is what? Chapter 0867_Shadow and Truth. It came suddenly, and GT. Fortunately, the distance here is far away, and the wind and waves are not so powerful anymore. What is that? Below, a middle-aged man muttered dully, "Explosion." As soon as he finished speaking, the roar arrived here. Boom! The earth shook, the grass and gravel swayed, and the group only felt pain in the eardrums and covered their ears one by one. It's been about a minute since I saw the explosion and when the sound came. Taiying's eyes flickered and his face was solemn. The distance is about 20 miles, let's go. With that said, he took the first step and quickly walked towards the explosion point. Seeing this, the group of ninjas below immediately looked at each other and quickly followed. The smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and Deidara flew to a higher place, crouched on the back of the big white bird, and looked at the man with a dignified look. Is it resolved? He couldn't be sure. Although the power of number 18 is enough to raise a radius of 1,000 meters to the ground, he has no confidence in whether he can solve the complete Susanoo. I saw a tall figure slowly emerge from the thick dust, at first the corner of the wing, and then the head. Didara's pupils shrank suddenly, full of shock, impossible, unscathed. Where is Itachi? His eyes turned to the ground, but he couldn't see Itachi's voice. Dead. No, I haven't touched the ninjutsu yet, are you hiding? Thinking like this, Didara suddenly felt the chill, as if there were a pair of eyes looking down at him behind him. Didara was stiff all over, and with a feeling of fear, he slowly turned his head to Q. Seeing this, his expression changed drastically. How is it possible? When are you? Initial start. The crows were flying, every crow was talking, and the voice that came out was Itachi Uchiha. Illusion, you need to look at the eyes to release it. From the beginning, you were wrong. During the speech, the crows gathered and gradually turned into a phantom Itachi. In order not to look at me, you locked most of your energy on my hands. Unfortunately, at that moment, you were already in illusion. Of course, this is fooling the other party. In fact, the release of the illusion is not from the beginning, but at the moment when Susanoo is used. It's impossible. You want to say that you can cast illusions on me as long as you need gestures. That's the reality. Itachi Kanakin shook his head and said, your strength is very good, you can force me to use Susanoo. In terms of lethality, your ninjutsu is really powerful, but it is not my opponent. In front of you, your defenses are weak and not worth mentioning. Quote. This is just C3, Didara still has C4, and even the self-exploding C0, which is even more terrifying in terms of power. Especially the self-exploding C0, its explosion range can almost reach a radius of 10 kilometers, that is, a circular area with a diameter of 10,000 meters. The shortcoming is bad. Orochimaru's various ninjutsu are very strong, but his soul is very weak, so he can't bear my, you do, and neither can you. Saying so, Itachi's eyes narrowed slightly, and in his right eye, pupil power instantly locked on Didara. Amaterasu. PFF'd. A ray of black flame was born suddenly, swallowing Didara's left shoulder at once. Ah! He screamed and fell down. You! Didara glared at Itachi, and as soon as he gritted his teeth, he tore up his cheat and discarded it. In the process of falling, the broken arm was completely burned by the black Amaterasu fire. It's amazing, compared to your own life, an arm can be given up without hesitation. Phantom Itachi calmly praised. Wait, are you going to kill him? The red sand scorpion suddenly came out. There were several puppets in front of him, which had been shattered because they resisted the explosion. How about this? There are still tasks to come. Relax, I didn't kill him. If I really wanted to kill him, the place where Amaterasu ignited just now was not his arm, but his head. Itachi jumped down from the big bird in the sky, and landed on the side of the dried persimmon ghost shark. Let's go, ghost shark. As expected of Mr. Itachi, we won cleanly. The dried persimmon ghost shark didn't laugh, and to be honest, he was startled. This number 2 weasel is much more powerful than the real weasel. 9 flowers. At the same time, he was also quite depressed in his heart. The other party was so strong, and for a while in the future, he would have to listen to the other party's orders. Just a little interlude, go. Itachi took the hat handed over by the other party, put it on himself, and then left without a word. Watching the two go away, the scorpion of the red sand withdrew his gaze and came to Didara's side. Is greater than or equal to. That's why I said, you're not the match for those eyes. This time it was for pain's sake that he didn't kill you. Chisha Scorpion's tone was indifferent, and he didn't really care much about his partner's life or death. Of course, if you die, I will make you a puppet and let you experience the eternal art. Well, explosions or art. Yours is evil. Deidara grinned and stopped the bleeding from her wound. You'll understand sooner or later. Can you still move? The next step is to capture the 5 tails. It's just human strength. Even if one hand is missing, it doesn't hinder the action. Deidara gritted her teeth and looked in the direction Itachi left, a burst of anger. I lost again, and it was even worse than the last time. I lost at least decently last time. This time, I was completely tricked. C3 can't work, then C4, C5, sooner or later I will develop a bomb that can kill him. At the same time, on the other side, Sound Nin Village, Orochimaru Base, in a secret room. Are you awake? Uchiha Sasuke Vivi opened his eyes, and a voice came from his ear. You are. Don't remember. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha suddenly recalled, and after Vivi's mood fluctuated, his eyes suddenly became confused. How long has it been? It's not too long, Liu Daoban said lightly. I said before that when you wake up, I will tell you the truth. What is the so-called truth? Uchiha Sasuke glanced at him. The truth is, about your brother, Itachi, you don't know anything about him. Liu Daoban's tone was slightly mocking. Don't you think that you really killed him with your own power? You. What did you say? What do you want to say without making it clear? Be careful, I'll kill you. Since you want to know, don't worry, I will tell you the truth about the day of the genocide. Chapter 0868_The Truth. That's right, you think everything about your brother, but in fact you don't know anything about him. Liu Dao Madara spoke in a low voice. While speaking, he took off his mask. Well, let me introduce again. I am Uchiha Madara, the person who once founded Konoha. Spot. Sasuke Uchiha was not surprised. He even knew Uchiha Chin, who was older than Madara, so naturally he would not be easily deterred by Madara's name. Where to start? Well, let's start with the previous battle. Liu Daoban thought for a moment before saying, did you not have any doubts during the battle? Susanoo, Tsukuru, Amaterasu, Kaleidoscope Shaker's powerful pupil technique, he didn't use any of them on you. Bullshit. Do you think he can't use it? Do you have any side effects? No, he can use Susanoo at the last moment. Of course, it shows that his eyes are still far away from blindness. Liu Daoban said lightly, from the beginning to the end, he has been acting like a war. In fact, he is just weighing you. Shut up. Uchiha Sasuke looked ugly. You want to say that he deliberately wanted to die in my hands? That's the truth. Liu Daoban shook his head and said, Uchiha Itachi, for the peace of this world, for Konoha, for your brother, the man who gave everything, this is the way he chose to survive. Pause, he continued. After you learned Muji ninjutsu from Chin, Itachi put a transcription seal on your eyes. This is what happened in the Kingdom of Waves. After that, when you see Chin again, after the other party uses Thunder Sword, your eyes automatically use Amaterasu. You won't forget this, will you? Haven't you thought about it? Why did he do this? Why? To protect you, of course. Phew. Liu Daoban said calmly. He is very worried about the immortality of his Uchiha clan, and doesn't want you to be involved in danger. In short, he is warning us and wants us to stay away from you. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha was confused, and these words did shake his opinion of his brother. Of course, these are not really important. The important thing is that he deliberately died in your hands and left his eyes to you. Before he died, why did he tell you about the eternal kaleidoscope? Of course it was for the sake of may you gain eternal light. Liu Daoban said with emotion. He knew that his life would be soon, so he used the positioning technique in the transcription seal to confirm your location, and then came to the door, and personally asked you to avenge the genocide of the year, thus making you turn on the kaleidoscope writing wheel. Quote. Kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes that can only be opened after experiencing huge negative emotions. This, Uchiha Sasuke already knew. Sasuke Uchiha was in a daze. When you woke up, didn't you feel anything unusual? What? Your eyes have been transplanted by me. After killing Itachi, you turned on the kaleidoscope. When you were in a coma, I transplanted it for you. Now, you have an eternal kaleidoscope. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha subconsciously opened his own writing wheel. 1 hook jade, 2 hook jade, 3 hook jade, and then breaking the boundary, turning into a kaleidoscope, and finally, the pattern is fixed in the shape of a chrysanthemum, eternal eye. Sasuke Uchiha couldn't believe it, and after a while, he looked back. Tell me, what is the truth? Looks like you already want to hear it. Lu Daoben chuckled. The only people who know the truth, including me, are the people behind the scenes of Chin and Xiao, Konoha's third-generation Hokage and Danzo, and Homura and Xiaochun who are consultants. Of course, Orochimaru can guess part of it, but he doesn't know all of it. What happened that day? Sasuke Uchiha was lost. Part of what you know is also reality. On that day, Uchiha Itachi did kill a clan, defected, and left Konoha. But that was the task that Konoha gave him. What mission, you say? Yes, that day, as the captain of the dark part, he completed the task perfectly and brilliantly. Lu Daoben whispered, he is just a victim of a political struggle. Let's start from the beginning. How much do you know about the establishment of Konoha? Without waiting for Sasuke Uchiha to answer, Madara Lu continued to explain. About 80 years ago, the ninja world was still the Sengoku era. In that chaotic era, the system of one country and one village was not established. At that time, the most outstanding Senju clan and Uchiha clan, tired of disputes, signed an armistice agreement. After that, Konoha was established, and the head of the Senju clan, Chisho Hasuma, naturally became the first Hokage. The Uchiha family, however, gradually became eagle dogs. Of course Madara Uchiha didn't want to do this, for the sake of the family, but at that time, the people of Uchiha's tribe were tired of war and did not follow Madara's footsteps. After that, Madara left Konoha and became an avenger. In the end, one day, he carried the nine-tailed demon fox and fought to the death with Senju. That is the Valley of the End, and now there are statues of the two of them standing there. I lost that battle. Everyone thought I was dead, even Hashimoto thought so. Ludao Madara said expressionlessly. After my death, Senju Hasuma's younger brother, Sensho Tobarama became the second Hokage. In order to prevent a betrayal like me, Sensho Tobarama was specially set up for the Uchiha family. Taking the position of the Konoha garrison forces not so much to appease, but to make the family the center of the political power. Quote. Of course, the Uchiha clan was dissatisfied with this, and even their residence was moved to a remote corner of the village. But at that time, the Chinsho clan was in full swing, and the Uchiha clan was no longer able to compete. This is the cause of the so-called struggle, which really broke out, because of one thing. Ludao Madara looked at Sasuke, his voice full of irony. 12 years ago, the nine-tailed attack on the village, Konoha executives thought that it was the Uchiha clan who did it. After all, only the writing wheel can control the tailed beast, but in fact it was just a natural disaster. Quote. Konoha wants to cleanse the Uchiha clan, but the 3 generations of Hokage do not agree. And the Uchiha clan who discovered this, finally seized power absolutely, and for this, they put a spy into Anbu. That person is your brother, Itachi Uchiha. Ludao Madara shook his head. That was the beginning of your brother, Itachi Uchiha. Back then you were young and didn't know anything about 4.3. But this is the truth, your father was the leader of the coup organization. One is his family and relatives, and the other is the village. Once the coup d'état begins, there will inevitably be a bloody storm, and the Uchiha family will lose. Your brother must think so too. Peace is not easy to come by. Can you understand Uchiha Itachi's mood at that time? Itachi is a spy. Uchiha Sasuke's face was dull. Father wants a coup. For those of you who haven't experienced war, you may not understand his feelings at the time. He is a peace-loving person, and he neither wants his family to suffer, nor does he want the peace of the village to be broken. And the top management of Konoha took advantage of this, and at a certain moment, he was given a task. Then, that mission. That's right, bloodbath the family, and the condition is that you keep your brother, that young brother who knows everything is you. Chapter 0869-Destroy Konoha. One hand, Itachi is hatred and V, and on the other hand, he is to protect me, two completely different answers, constantly entangled in my mind. It's hard for ordinary people to make up their minds on their own blood clan, and even I would be touched. Itachi was forced to make a choice at that time, and you were his weakness. Lu Daomaru crossed his arms, sat beside him, and looked at him quietly, but if the Uchiha clan starts a civil war, Konoha will be shaken by it, and other countries will also take advantage of the fire, maybe it will trigger the Fourth Forbearance World War because of the selfish desires of a family, many people in the shinobi world will die. If you were Itachi, what would you do? I don't know. Sasuke, who was only 12 years old and was about to turn 13, was even more at a loss when faced with such a choice. Itachi has decided to put a 17th stop on the history of the family with his own hands. Lu Daoban shook his head and said, his betrayal is not because he hated the clan, nor did he completely obey Danzo's orders, but he had no choice for the sake of peace. For your brother, Itachi chose to bear this kind of burden alone. Hatred, discriminated against, and wronged, he left Konoha alone and joined the Akatsuki organization. Quote. As for why he joined Akatsuki, Lu Daoban was too lazy to talk about it, it wouldn't affect Sasuke's brainwashing anyway. No one will blame him, even me, just sympathize with what happened to him. Lu Daoban continued. Patriarch, Chin, after appearing beside you, Konoha's reaction is very sensitive, don't you know? During that time, there were more than 10 Anbu ninjas lurking almost every day. If not Chin's existence, you have probably been arrested by Danzo. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha's eyes fluctuated a little. So when Orochimaru attacked Konoha, the ancestor chose to stand by and watch. Yes, the ancestors only care about you, the orphan of the Uchiha clan. It doesn't matter how Konoha is, it is better to say that the ancestors also helped Orochimaru, so that he can be one-on-one with the third-generation Hokage. Fight. Phew. So that's how it is. Sasuke Uchiha was shocked. Uchiha Itachi, the beloved elder brother when he was a child, chose to dedicate himself to protect him, bear hatred alone, and let hatred become his goal and motivation until he had the same kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Itachi is looking forward to you very much. There are very few people in the Uchiha family who can open the kaleidoscope. After me, except for a few, you have the most potential. Lu Daoban got up, stood in front of the hospital bed, and said, Itachi entrusted you with the important task of revitalizing the clan. Next, what do you want to do? Where is the ancestor? Sasuke Uchiha burst into tears and wiped away his tears in grief. A pair of eternal kaleidoscopes were unconsciously turned on. Old ancestor to you, he is an old ancestor, to me, he is an uncle. Lu Daoban sneered. Of course he has things to do, important things. Like Itachi, he looking forward to you too. He told you, above the eternal kaleidoscope, and Rinnegan, looking forward to you getting there. Quote. Itachi may want me to stay in Konoha, but I can't do it. When I know all this, I am full of blood and only have one thought. Uchiha Sasuke dragged his tired body to his feet, walked to the door of the secret room, and pushed the door out. Destroy Konoha. The Country of Thunder, Union Village. Broken down number 11, Lightning Bolt. In a secret training ground, the 4th generation Raikage finally made his first ghost trick. It's true. The thunder and lightning hit the arm, directly piercing the puppet in front, and pierced the opponent's chest with one blow. This is not chakra, it is a general means of power at the soul level, and it cannot be defended at all. Yee. Raikage was surprised. Bing. Last night, he made a deal with Aizen, exchanged 130 scrolls for power, unlocked his own spiritual power, and at the same time mastered the first ghost path. This kind of power does not require a long study. As long as you have a scroll and activate your own spiritual power, you can master it very quickly. You only need a team of elite Jonin, and you can even assassinate the shadow without the enemy's knowledge. The fourth Reikage narrowed his eyes and turned around suddenly. He left the training ground and returned to Reikage's office. How is Konoha? Reporting to Reikage-sama, Konoha seems to have found Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas, who has become the 5th Hokage. Very good, don't miss this opportunity. The 4th Reikage ordered in a deep voice, notify the Shangnin class to assemble and prepare to launch a war against Konoha. Is there a reason? No need. High-sounding excuses are meaningless to us. There is no possibility of losing. As long as there are 4 or 5 elites mastering the ghost path, Konoha's high-end combat power can be assassinated one by one. Reikage could not have imagined the possibility of defeat. And now, it is the weakest time in Konoha's history. Although Tsunade has become the new Hokage, she has just taken office, and it is unknown even if she is firmly seated. If she doesn't fight now, when will she wait? Yes, Reikage-sama. Country of Water, Hiddenwu Village 600. Sister. A shy boy with eyes looked at Terumi-Mei worriedly. At this moment, Terumi-Mei was sitting on the throne of Mizuyage. Her pretty face Vivi was a little distorted. In her body, lightning flashes, numbing her organs. Damn, it only happens once a day for a few days, is this a warning? Every time is more powerful than one. Terumi-Mei secretly thought, it seems that I have to do it. This power, with my strength, can't be resolved at all. The thought of that man's threat made her full of anger, dignified, and in the center of her own house, being threatened and planted with bonds, was simply a great shame. Thinking of this, Terumi-Mei endured the discomfort, raised her hand, and said, Chanjuro, ready to visit Konoha with me. I heard that Tsunade has become the 5th Hokage. I have to visit. The boy named Chanjuro was stunned. As an island country, the country of water has always had a policy of operating its own territory. Now that other countries have changed their shadows, are they going to visit? Don't ask, just tell Ching, the number of people in this operation should not be too large. Anyway, to inquire about the situation, touch the bottom of Konoha, and rashly start a war, that is what the reckless husband did. Yes, sister. Chapter 0870-Fighting the Shadow. On the Tsuchikage side, there are at least 10 Shangin, and Tsuchikage, a shadow-level powerhouse. It's really surprising. Although I expected reinforcements to come when I let that Jinin go, I didn't expect that Tsuchikage would lead the team in person. The dried persimmon ghost shark smiled. Have you caught a big fish in the so-called fishing? After a pause, he said, Mr. Itachi, what do you think? Don't kill it, grab it first and ask Churin Zuli's whereabouts. Itachi Phantom said in a low voice, I will deal with toying, and leave the rest to you. More than 10 Junin, even ghost sharks, will be very difficult. Understood. The dried persimmon ghost shark grinned, took off the shark muscle broadsword on his back, and rushed up immediately. The purpose is human strength. Taing's heart froze, and unfortunately, among the dozen or so Junin he brought this time, there was one person, Zuli. Four-tailed man column force, Old Purple. Lord Toying. Uchiha Itachi is up to me to deal with, you all pay attention to protecting Lao Zi. Tsuchikage is the 3rd generation Tsuchikage, a small old man whose name is Onogi. As soon as he gave an order, many of the Junin around him immediately launched an attack on the dried persimmon ghost shark. As for himself, he slowly flew into the air and looked at Wanshi Itachi from a distance. I've heard of your name for a long time. Onogi, the 2-day scale, is one of the few ninjas who can fly, even among the 5 great kingdoms, and masters the bloodstain elimination that surpasses the blood legacy limit. Phantom Itachi said lightly. The so-called blood continuing limit means that when 2 kinds of chakra properties are changed and used at the same time, a new escape technique will be generated, such as feng shui, ice, will appear, and soil plus water will be equal to wood. Quote. This new escape technique, once developed, the ninja's genes will be recorded, and can be passed on to the next generation through blood relationship. Of course, the limit of blood follows also includes the ability of a certain organ that is different from that obtained by ordinary people, such as the writing wheel eye, the white eye, the corpse bone vein and so on. And above the bloodline limit, it is bloodstain elimination, or bloodstain expansion. Shuiji boundary is a combination of any two chakra nature changes that are born into a new nature change, while blood-ji elimination is a combination of three chakra nature changes. The owner of this chakra attribute is extremely rare. For example, the earth's shadow in front of him combines earth, wind and fire to create a dust shield, which is the elimination of bloodstains. I don't even need to mention the name of the old man. Yukonoha's betrayal and forbearance suddenly invaded our country, and you are eyeing Renjuli. You know the organization, are you crazy? Tsukage floats in midair with his hands on his back Q_. Renjuli is a taboo for the villages of the country, and targeting Renjuli declaring war is similar in nature. In this regard, Wanshin Itachi was too lazy to talk nonsense, his eyes condensed, and suddenly, his eyes turned into an eternal kaleidoscope. Susanoo, Kai. The next moment, Chakra turned into a phantom of a samurai, and this phantom quickly wrapped the flesh and armor, with wings growing on his back, and a big sword in his hand. Trouble eyes, you betrayed Konoha, I have to say, it is a fortunate thing. Onogi and Shiranyan have fought many times, and they have some understanding of the abilities of these eyes. At this moment, I can't help but frown when I see Itachi using Susanoo. Ninjutsu never seen before. Earth Escape Rock Fist Technique. He quickly formed the seal and suddenly, a huge fist made of rock smashed down at Susanoo. Bing! Useless temptation, use your dust shield. Itachi Kwanshin's tone was indifferent, and he controlled Susanoo's man and slashed out with a sword. I saw a flash of orange light, and the incomparably huge fist was immediately divided into two and cut in half. So strong attacking ability. Anamu frowned secretly, and then his hands changed. After a new round of seal formation, he immediately shouted, "Two done super heavy rock technique. Earth done rock fist technique." It is another huge fist, and this time, with the blessing of the super heavy rock technique, the weight of its punches doubled. Boom! The punch slammed into Susanoo's chest, knocking him to the ground. However, Oyemu's brows were wrinkled deeper and deeper. No harm. In the dust, Susanoo stood up. Sure enough, it's a strange ninjutsu. Compared to this, attack Uchiha Itachi first, and don't let him use illusions. Thinking so, Onogi seals again. Earth Escape Earthquake Core. Boom! The earth shook, and Itachi immediately realized that in four directions around his body, 4 square pieces of land stretched out from the ground, trapping him in the center. The next moment, above his head, a huge rock the size of a hill suddenly smashed down. Earth Escape, Super Heavy Rock Technique. Whoosh! The boulder that fell like a meteorite suddenly increased in speed, and its power increased exponentially. Aren't you afraid of getting your subordinates involved? Are you so wary of my shakers? That's Shanyan, the old man won't give you a chance to use it. It's not enough, just at this level. The Phantom Itachi was unmoved, and made a seal with one hand. You got a mirror. I saw an orange light flickering, and on top of the Phantom Itachi's head, an insubstantial aegis suddenly appeared. The huge stone fell on it, making a loud noise. Boom! Onogi was taken aback. The spiritual tool Yata mirror is actually in your hands. Oops! The falling boulder suddenly bounced back after a stalemate for a few seconds. Whoosh! The black shadow flashed, and the boulder rose into the sky and smashed towards Oyemu. It's not just the Yata mirror, the 10-fist sword is also in my hands. Itachi said indifferently. I saw Susanoo's man, I don't know when, has already flew into the air, and at the same time as the boulder smashed into Onogi, the spirit sword in his hand was also slashed. In the face of the attack from both sides, Oyemu remained calm in the face of danger, gritted his teeth, clapped his hands, and shouted, "Dust shield, the art of peeling the realm." Suddenly, a transparent cube appeared, wrapping Oyemu. The 10-fist sword and the boulder fell, and they were all blocked by this barrier, and the next moment, the cube suddenly expanded and spread, as if to decompose all matter from the molecular level. "I've been waiting for this move for a long time." Wanton Itachi was slow, his eyes narrowed, and his pupil power instantly swept dozens or hundreds of meters and projected it out. Amaterasu. L. Puff. Black flames shot up from the inside of the technique of peeling off the original world, ignited directly, and completely enveloped Onogi in the breath. Lord Toying. Immediately, a Jonin shouted in horror. He is expected of Itachi, there's nothing special about Tsuchikage. The dried persimmon ghost shark grinned, none of you want to run away, water escape, water prison shark dance. Boom boom boom. A large amount of water appeared out of thin air, and was instantly fixed into a huge oval water prison, including everything within a radius of hundreds of meters. Chapter 0861-Capture 4 Tails. The black flame ignited in an instant. It was Onogi's body where the phantom Itachi's eyes focused. At this moment, Onogi is using the dust shield to defend against 2 attacks. A transparent cube with a diameter of 4 or 5 meters was wrapped in it, defending against Susanoo's slash, and against the bouncing of a huge rock. The moment the two hit the cube, the entire cube suddenly expanded, and at the molecular level, the boulder and Susanoo were disintegrated at once. Puff! With a flash of white light, Susanoo disappeared, but the strike of the 10-fist sword still shattered the technique of peeling off the realm. At this moment, Onogi, who was in a defenseless state, was completely swallowed by the fire of Amaterasu. Ah! A scream was born, and Onogi fell from the sky. I'm so careless, I thought I wanted to attack you with Susanoo, but I didn't have any defense against Amaterasu. Itachi Kanakin stood calmly in the same place, followed the fallen Onogi, and said, "Your dust shield is extremely good in terms of attack power, except for a small number of abilities, it is almost superior to all ninjutsu. Go, even a full-body Susanoo can't defend against it. However, this move is not cheap to use, it consumes a lot of chakra in one go, and there is no time to defend against other attacks." By the fire of Amaterasu, Onogi was like a Kurozumi, and slammed to the ground. The flame burned for dozens of seconds before it gradually extinguished, and the object had turned into a black soil. Lord Toying. The dozen or so Junin who were trapped by the water prison shark dance changed their expressions one after another. The next moment, under the black soil, the earth surging, the mud and rocks rolled, and Oyemu came out in a messed up posture. Cough cough cough. He was covered in trauma, especially on his arms and neck, with obvious burn marks. It's amazing. At the last moment, I wrapped my body with rocks and used the earth clone to hide in the ground, giving myself a chance to kick myself. Let me give you a compliment. Itachi Phantom raised his eyebrows, but what happens next? Onomu's face was ugly, and his eyes flashed a few traces of shock. Uchiha Itachi was so terrifying, much stronger than he knew. Amaterasu just now, the timing was perfect, if it weren't for his rich experience, at the last moment, he escaped the fatal injury. I am afraid that now he has become a corpse and was burnt clean. However, this is the case, his chakra consumption is huge, his body skin is even more burned, and his combat power has dropped by half at once, and he is no longer the opponent's opponent. QQC. Damn it, I was too mean, thinking that the other party was a junior, and underestimating it a little bit, which led to the current situation. If I took advantage of the large number of people at the beginning, it would be completely different. Onoju felt bitter in his heart, but at this time, he could only bite the bullet and stand up. You guys want to arrest Zuli, what do you want to do? He didn't expect the other party to answer, so he just delayed the time and gave himself a chance to catch his breath. However, Wanshin Itachi was very indifferent and said bluntly, "Take out the tailed beast. You don't know it, right? The 9-tailed beasts, at the beginning, were originally 1. The 6 Path Immortals divided the 10 tails into 9 parts and was born 9-tailed beasts. The purpose of Akatsuki's organization is very simple, to use the power of tailed beasts to create a world of eternal peace. Do you believe this yourself?" Anamu said in a cold voice, "You just put the unification of the ninja world, and dominate the entire world, and changed it to a nicer way of saying it. As you understand it. It doesn't matter what it is, it has nothing to do with him anyway, that's Nagato's purpose, he just wants to revive the 10 tails. Bing. Then, let's stop the nonsense, let's talk about the location of Renzuli. Dream. The old man is a shadow. At the same time, the water prison shark danced inside. Old Z's face was ugly. He is the 4-tailed man Zuli, and these 2 people are coming for him, and the purpose is him. To be honest, he and Oyemu are not compatible. If there is no today's event, he will probably leave the village sooner or later and become a wandering monk. However, the relationship between the 2 is not good, but after all, it is the shadow, and if he doesn't do something, things will get very bad. What are you going to do? The dried persimmon ghost shark carried the anxious sword, and grinned at the dozen or so Junin trapped in the water prison. If you don't defeat me, you will have no chance of escaping. Of course, you have to hurry up, Mr. Itachi. Your patience is not good, later, you will have to collect the corpse for toying. Asshole. Dried persimmon ghost shark, don't get carried away. Several Junin were furious. Suddenly, Laozi raised his hand to stop the crowd and said, "Your purpose is Renzuli." That's right. I am. Laozi said solemnly, "You want to arrest me, what will you do after you arrest me?" Who knows, since it's you, it's easy to handle, so you are the old purple. The dried persimmon ghost shark grinned Isho, raised the shark muscle sword, prepared to merge with it, turned into a half-mermaid form, and solved the group of people in one go. Wait, I'll go with you and let the others go. Sean. Old Z's face was determined, let the others go. Otherwise, you don't want to get 4 tails. Does this guy want to die together? The dried persimmon ghost shark curled his lips, if you die, the tailed beast will not die. You have no choice to perish together. It's impossible to say. If I die, the 4 tails will also die. Although it will regenerate after a while, I can guarantee that you will never find it. Tailed beasts are aggregates of chakra and are immortal. Although human Zuli and tailed beasts share the same life, in essence, tailed beasts will not die. They do not have the concept of death, but their consciousness will dissipate. Reunion. For example, Jue, after Jue left Naruto's body, was absorbed by Juya, but the trace of power left in Naruto's body has begun to grow stronger. Sooner or later, Jue will be resurrected again. Of course, it may take a little longer. Hearing this, the dried persimmon ghost shark immediately frowned. Mr. Itachi, what do you think? He shouted from the air. Wanton Itachi once again regarded the soil shadow as a desperate situation, and suddenly stopped at this moment. The target has been confirmed. Oyemu, you are useless. The ghost shark, catch it and prepare to withdraw. Their reinforcements are coming soon. Hearing this, the dried persimmon ghost shark immediately stopped talking nonsense. Although the negotiation failed, if you surrender obediently, you can reduce unnecessary sacrifices. Between the words, he has merged with the shark muscle, turned into a half-mermaid form, dodged, and moved in the water prison at a lightning speed, close to the front of Laozi. PFF'd. An arm pierced Laozi's abdomen and brought out a piece of blood donation. Old Z. Oyemu's pupils shrank. The country of rain, the Shao organization base. In the dark cell, Naruto Uzumaki was shackled to the wall. His hands and feet were tied, and his spirit was sluggish, and he had not eaten for a week. The weakness of the body makes the spirit full of flaws. Suddenly, at a certain moment, in the dark consciousness, a voice sounded. Naruto, take it, you need power. Chapter 0872-Runaway Ninetales. Inside the door, a nine-tailed demon fox group chakra gradually turned into a demon fox. It's just that compared to the past, today's Ninetales are no different from the size of ordinary people. Ninetales. Uzumaki Naruto's consciousness was slightly clearer, and he was a little surprised. Aren't you in a bad situation now? You've been arrested and locked up in a place like this. Starving to death. How about it? Get out of here without thinking about fully accepting my power. As long as you nod your head, you will be free now. Back to Konoha. Ninetales grinned, revealing a row of sharp teeth. He bewitched, trying to control Naruto. However, the seal, like a chain around its neck, made it useless. At the beginning, Chinyang forced him to leave Renjuli. At the critical moment, he left a trace of strength to stay in Naruto's body, just in case. As a result, after it escaped from Konoha, it really encountered a catastrophe and was absorbed by another, Ninetales. It took a full 2 months for it to regain a little consciousness, but its power has been weakened to the extreme. In order to regain its new life as soon as possible, it had to absorb the vitality of the human column force. Now Naruto's tragic situation has half of its credit. Naruto Uzumaki himself naturally didn't know about this. He had the bloodline of the Uzumaki clan, and his vitality was very strong. Normally, if he didn't eat or drink for a week, he wouldn't have reached such a level. How is the village? In the silence, Naruto Uzumaki spoke in a low mood. That's right, don't you want to go back to Konoha? As long as you accept my power, you can leave here. You have to run away. That kid from Sand Ninja you caught with you is already dead. Sooner or later you will become so. Naruto's mood fluctuated violently, and he slowly walked towards the prison door. Yes, that's it, uncover that sealing spell. It seems that there is a force, holding Naruto's body, making him float slowly, and sending him to the seal. I want to run away. If I don't run away, I will die. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes were empty, and he slowly reached out and pinched the corner of the seal. He tore it off gently, but only tore off half of it. At this moment, the seal was loosened, as if the pool had opened a drain, and a pool of nine-tailed chakras poured out frantically, wrapping Naruto's body in an instant. At the same time, in reality, Naruto Uzumaki, who was in a coma, showed a painful expression. The crimson nine-tailed chakra burned his skin like a flame. Puff! A tail suddenly stretched out from behind it, the next moment, 2 or 3. Predict. Dink G, $9. Naruto Vivi was shocked, and the sea chain that bound his hands and feet was broken. He opened his mouth and sent a message. A painful groan came out. Immediately afterwards, the negative emotions completely devoured him and the tail beast transformation finally began, and it was a complete tail beast transformation. I. The fourth tail is gradually condensing. This has exceeded the limit of the current nine-tailed chakra, and is burning his own vitality. Roar. With a roar, the strong wind pressure instantly shattered the cell, and Naruto Uzumaki was surrounded by chakra, completely turning into a small nine-tailed head. And at this moment, the paper flying all over the sky gradually condensed into Xiaonan's figure. It's amazing, just like Nagato said, it actually started. On Xiaonan's poker-like face, there was a slight hint of surprise. As long as you are detained for a period of time, without eating or drinking, the power of the nine tails will recover and devour your consciousness. Do you already have 4 tails? Roar. Naruto Uzumaki roared, opened his mouth, and his 4 tails were raised like claws, focusing on his mouth, and then, the dark chakra turned into a tailed beast cannon, gradually gathering strength. The art of the paperman of God. Seeing this, Xiaonan was slow, and his hands formed seals. I saw paper flying all over the sky, like snowflakes, circling in the cell, gradually turning into a gust of wind, blowing towards Naruto. Boom boom boom. These hundreds of thousands of detonating talismans exploded after they got close to Naruto. In the continuous roar, a tailed beast cannon was ejected directly. Boom. In an instant, the entire cell, including the entire building, exploded and was razed to the ground. Rain Nin Village. In the heavy rain, a loud noise broke the cohesion. Kyuubi Renjuli has gone violent. In the dark room, under the ground, Ju's figure slowly emerged. In front of him, the masked man opened his eyes. As planned. Do you want to take it back? 9 flowers. No, let him go. 9 tails, Nagato will arrest him personally, and before that, 9 tails must be fully resurrected. Masked man narrowed his eyes. How did the tailed beast catch? At present, there is only 1 tail. The 4th tail is in charge of the ghost shark group, and the 5th tail is Deidara and the others. As for the undead duo, Feijuan and the others are also in action, and there will be results soon. Baiju Kuten said. However, the 5 major countries have been moving frequently recently, and there seems to be something behind it. It doesn't matter. It's just in line with our actions. Masked man said. The top priority is to catch all the tailed beasts that can be caught. Understood. Land country. The dried persimmon ghost shark fused with the shark muscle pierced Laozi's abdomen with one blow, and for a while, the blood donation was stained red. Huh. Laozi's complexion turned pale, and his whole body suddenly felt powerless. His chakra was passing frantically, as if he had been absorbed by the dried persimmon ghost shark. You're right, in the fusion state of the shark muscle and the human body, after direct contact, I can absorb other people's chakras. Peace of mind, you won't feel pain. When I hit you, it will penetrate into your body. Strong narcotics. Quote. As soon as the voice fell, Laozi's eyes were scattered, and he suddenly fell in front of the dried persimmon ghost shark. 4 tails, capture is complete. Seeing this, Wanshin Itachi said immediately, withdraw. Then, the dried persimmon ghost shark snorted softly, the art of psychic, 1,000 food sharks. Bang bang bang. In an instant, another 1,000 sharks appeared, and they flocked to the rest of the dozen or so Junin. As for himself, he grabbed the 4-tailed Manzuli and quickly evacuated. Water escape. Big explosive water rush. At the moment of evacuation, the dried persimmon shark opened its mouth and spit out hundreds of millions of tons of seawater, like a huge wave, and shot it directly at the other party. Don't try to run. Put down Laozi. Anamu's face was ashen. He endured the discomfort of his body, and put his palms together again. Dust shield, the original world peeled off. It's late. Itachi's eyes condensed, and suddenly, the huge pupil power was projected directly. Amaterasu. Puff. It seemed to separate the 2 worlds. A dark fire, the battlefield style, blocked the pursuit of Onogi. Then, the 2 quickly retreated and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 0873-Rescue Team. 1 sentence. Just as soon as he finished coding, he fell down with a thud, his face pale for a while. Lord Toying. A group of Junin quickly approached, and one of them said, "You should not pursue it now, leave it to us." "No, it doesn't make sense to go with just a few people, you are not the opponents of those 2 guys." Toying clutched his chest and said solemnly, "First of all, ensure the safety of the other person Zuli. They took Laozi, and they will definitely keep an eye on Han." Yes. Everyone nodded. However, why didn't the reinforcements arrive, and the distress signal was sent out very early? Hearing this, Tu Ying had a bad premonition. At the same time, near Yenian village, Deidara and the Red Sand Scorpion were slowly heading towards the village. Not far behind them, under a boulder, lay a number of Junin. A little fat, the Red Sand Scorpion said in a hoarse voice, "Those corpses are still pretty good." As expected of Brother Scorpion, we took advantage of the encounter between Itachi and Toying, and we swaggeringly invaded Yenian village. Deidara sneered, "Next, leave it to me." On this day, a major change occurred in the land of the land. The third generation of Tuakage was defeated by Uchiha Itachi, and the four-tailed person Zuri was arrested, while the village behind was invaded by unknown members of the Akatsuki organization, and suffered a huge blow, and the five-tailed person Zuri disappeared. In just one day, Yenian village suffered heavy losses and lost face. However, the news here has not yet spread to other countries. At the same time when such a big thing happened in the Land of Thunder also dispatched many ninjas under the will of the four generations of Raikage and Daimyo, and launched an invasion across the border of the Land of Fire. The scale of the first wave of invasion was not very large. There were only hundreds of ninjas, and among them, there were only a dozen of them. This is just the vanguard. Let's test Konoha's reaction first. Although the information shows that Konoha is now overwhelmed and weak, it is not a wise choice to rush the army to suppress the situation. Fire Country, Konoha Village. When Tsunade got the news, it was already that night. Bang! She slapped her desk with anger. Her face turned ashen. It's too much. I want to take advantage of the fire. I chose to do it at this time. On the side of the squad leader of the Shangnan squad, Narashikahisa folded his arms and said thoughtfully, he thought that we lost a lot of combat power in the Orochimaru invasion incident, so it's still reasonable to do so. After all, it was a cloud. Hide. What kind of justice did they use to come in? Tsunade gritted his teeth. This is, Narashikahisa said helplessly. There is no excuse at all, it is a sudden invasion. Some countries start a war, and they have to be famous, such as Union, a village full of irritability from top to bottom. Who cares so much? Humph. Tsunade snorted coldly. Notify the shinobi class, assemble the troops, and fight them back. This time, regardless of the loss, no matter how many people die, I will teach them a lesson. The more it is like this, the more difficult it is to be cowardly. If Konoha behaves a little bit more cowardly now, I am afraid that after a while, it will not be the Land of Thunder, and several other big countries will have different thoughts, even if they just restarted. The allied country of the wind will take a bite in turn. Hearing this, Narashikahisa suddenly laughed. Of course, now there is a resurrection technique, mastered by you, Tsunade-sama, and we are not afraid of a war of attrition. No matter how many people Konoha dies, they can be resurrected, it just depends on Yunyin's consumption. Originally, Konoha did not intend to hide the resurrection of the group today, nor could he hide it. It's a pity that Yunyin was about to launch an invasion in a hurry. If he knew the news later, he would be black for a while. In addition to this, the country of water has sent a ninja pigeon, the fifth generation of Mizukage Terumi-mei, ready to visit us. After thinking for a while, Narashikahisa said again, she is more cautious than Yunyin, and it is estimated that she came to inquire about the situation. The relationship between the Kingdom of Water and Konoha is not close at all. At this time, when the water shadow comes, there is no need to guess. However, Konoha obviously has no reason to refuse. Once she refuses, she will show a guilty conscience. Hearing this, Tsunade couldn't help frowning. The current Konoha is simply embattled, and everyone wants to take a bite. Thinking of this, she gritted her teeth and said, then, welcome her and entertain her well. We must show our tolerance. Yes. Go down, Kakashi, you stay. Narashikahisa left the office. Kakashi and Kai looked at each other and said, Lord Tsunade, what are your orders? Naruto was captured by the Shao organization. Currently in Urin village, you two lead a team to form a rescue team to bring Naruto back. Tsunade instructed. I have already contacted Sand Ninja Village, and they will also send troops to save Gaara. Speaking of this, she couldn't help but hesitate. According to Itachi Kwanshin, Gaara is already dead, and it is estimated that the body will have been cold for a long time, but she did not tell Sand Ninja Village this news, in order to let the other party send out a force. Sean moreover, once the other party rescues Gaara, if you want to be resurrected at that time, you have to rely on her, so the country of the wind will have to pay the price. Tsunade felt that he was a little too insidious, but as Hokage, of course, everything must be based on the interests of the village, and insidiousness is nothing. One more thing, with you, there will be a subordinate of Danzo, the wooden envoy. Be careful. Tsunade hinted at something. Hearing this, Kakashi kept his head down and nodded quietly. It didn't take long for Tsunade to separate everyone, and came to a secret room by himself. She took all the scrolls that Konoha had stored here, and then she closed her eyes and called out a name. Swish. I saw a holy light shining in the secret room, and then, a holy cloud was reflected in the air. The phantom of the holy archangel appeared in it. Seeing this scene, Tsunade 5.0 couldn't help but be shocked. After a while, she suppressed the fluctuations in her heart and said, "Thank you for your phoenix feather, it has saved many lives." "You're welcome, it's just a deal between us. Bring it here. This is 300 scrolls. 100 of them will pay the previous price, and the other 200, I would like to exchange for 2 phoenix feathers." "No problem." The holy archangel waved his hand, rolled up the holy light, and collected all the scrolls. At the same time, 2 colorful feathers floated out and landed in front of Tsunade. Seeing this thing again, Tsunade was shocked and excited. "Well, I want to ask, how can I find Ho-Oh? You guys have a way." Resurrection of the rope tree requires King Ho to personally take action, although Tsunade doesn't know what Ho-King is. Of course there are ways, but can you afford it? Chapter 0874-Tobarama of the Resurrection Thousand Arms. As long as it's within me. Even if you can pay the price, you won't be able to find Ho-Oh right now. The time for him to appear is not now. The holy archangel calmly flickers. What do you mean? Whenever the world undergoes major changes, the master representing life will wake up, and it is not yet time. Big change. Tsunade was stunned. You can understand it is the change of the times. More than 100 years ago, the era of samurai came to an end, and the ninja ushered in a big explosion. It's a big change like this. The holy archangel continued. Of course, at that time, the one who woke up together was the great master of destruction. Life and destruction bring disaster and innovation. Tsunade didn't know what to say, and she reserved her attitude towards these remarks. She only believed it 3 points. There was no record of this kind of thing in Konoha's history. Believe it or not, Ho-Oh can't be found now. If you want more phoenix feathers, prepare more ninjutsu scrolls. Goodbye. The sound faded away, the holy light gradually dissipated, and the phantom of the holy archangel disappeared between the flickers. Wait, there's another question. Ask. In the void, the voice of the holy archangel sounded. 3 Hokage, why can't it be resurrected? His soul is not in the kingdom of heaven, and he was imprisoned by the god of death. Even the feathers of the phoenix would not be able to resurrect him. However, I do know something. His soul no, it's better that you don't know, maybe it won't be long you can see some old antiques. With a chuckle, the holy archangel finally left. Phew. Hearing this, Tsunade Shu frowned slightly and couldn't understand the meaning of the other party. Bing. It seems that we can only talk about it next time. She looked at the 2 feathers in her hands and calmed down a little. At least 2 group resurrections can be guaranteed. Now the urgent thing is to solve the invasion of Union. The dark world of nothingness. The 3 souls are floating here. There is no concept of heaven and earth here, nor is it the world after death, it is more like the gap between the 2 worlds. In the darkness, the 3 souls gathered together, looking at the curtain of light in front of them. In the light curtain, it is the picture of the holy archangel talking to Tsunade. There is such an incredible power. Sarutobi Hizen said in amazement. The first generation, have you heard of it? King Ho. No. The first Hokage Senju Shima shook his head. Tsunade has grown so big, he still looks very young. Degree according to his age, Tsunade is already more than 50, but from the outside, he is at most 27 or 8. She is good at medical ninjutsu and can maintain her youth to a limited extent. Sarutobi Hibiki shook his head and said, but it only looks like, in fact, her body is still degrading. Speaking of which, Tsunade is your granddaughter in the first generation. I was already dead when she was born. Tobarama told me the name Tsunade. The first generation died very early, and Konoha died a few years after its establishment. Tsunade was born in Konoha's 14th year, and then, Konoha's 17th year. 3 years later, Tobarama also died. I said, Tobarama, don't you come and see Tsunade. Chisho Hasuma is very optimistic. Even in this dark and silent world, she is still enjoying herself. She is now the 5th Hokage. Tsunade. I haven't seen each other for many years. I hugged me when I was born. Chinsho Tobarama put down the brush, looked up at the light curtain. Speaking of which, I have almost copied down all the ninjutsu I have learned. Didn't that person say that he wanted to resurrect me? You really copied it out. Chinsho Zujian was speechless. It's been so many years since he died, and things in the human world are naturally handled by the younger generation. But, Tobarama Chinsho opened his mouth. He was about to say something. In the darkness, a figure traveled through the void and appeared directly in front of the three souls. Looks like you're done. Chinyang said with a smile. I am very charitable to the guys I talk to. I am very satisfied with the decision of Chinsho Tobarama. You're here. Chinsho Tobarama put down the brush, pushed aside the scrolls piled up like mountains on the ground, stood up and said, I have mastered 575 ninjutsu in my life. Of course, there may be more in fact, but I can't remember. This is all you want. Seeing this, Chinyang's eyes swept away. 575 scrolls, there are about 100 repetitions of ninjutsu. In fact, only 450 can be absorbed. Not bad. Chinyang nodded with satisfaction, and with a wave of his hand, rolled up all the scrolls and put them in his pocket. So, how do you want to resurrect? Hearing this, Chinsho Tobarama's heart moved and asked, is there any choice for resurrection? There are many types of resurrection techniques in the world. Chinyang was in a good mood and explained patiently. The reincarnation of dirty soil can be resurrected, and Rinnegan's reincarnation technique can also be resurrected. Besides, I also have 3 ways to resurrect you. 3. The 3 Hokage were shocked. Who the hell is this guy, who has so much weird power? Which 3? The first type is that I create a body in the human world and directly inject your soul. The advantage of this is that this body can be completely controlled by you, but the disadvantage is obvious, your power will be greatly reduced. If you want to get back to the top, you have to practice slowly. Quote. Tobarama Chinsho shook his head. Second, I will take my own shot, reverse the time and space, and capture the past you from beyond the long river of time. Then fuse your present soul with the past soul to become a brand new you. The advantage is that your the power can remain at its peak, but the downside is that, after all, they are 2 souls. Although they are the same person, during the fusion process, if something unpredictable happens to 330, you will not know. Quote. Chinyang said quite seductively that he wanted to try it. This ability has been mastered after he reached the 7-star level, but he has not tried it. As long as the guinea pig Chinsho Tobarama is willing, he is willing to try it. Chinsho Tobarama sensed Chinyang's thoughts, and immediately shook his head and said, what about the 3rd type? The 3rd, Chinyang said regretfully, you heard the conversation between Tsunade and that angel just now. I can forcefully summon Ho-Oh and use his power to resurrect you. This is a resurrection technique without any side effects, which is equivalent to not only having a body, but also returning to your peak age. Quote. That's it. Senju Tobarama nodded happily, then please. It was agreed in advance that you must not leak the news of this resurrection method, and you owe me a favor. No problem. Then call. Chinyang's thoughts moved, and suddenly, in this dark world, a ray of colorful light was born, and then Feng Ming was loud, and a colorful phoenix was born in the flame, bringing a peaceful breath of life. The next day. In the land of fire, somewhere in a big forest. Under a tall tree, A rainbow of lights descended, and then a silver-haired man slowly opened his eyes. I'm back. Chinsho Tobarama's eyes flashed, and the whole person exuded a surging momentum. Chapter 0875-1 Tale, 4 Tales and 5 Tales capture completed. I'm back. And GT. Chinsho Tobarama breathed the fresh air of the world, and couldn't help but let out a sigh. I can really be resurrected. It's a completely different feeling from the last reincarnation of the dirt. This is my body. Felt the state of my body, and my vitality remained at its peak. It looked like I was in my early 20s, and there was no problem with my body functions. Go back to Konoha first, now is an eventful time. Thinking like this, Senju Tobarama made up his mind to meet Tsunade first, and then deal with the Union invasion. However, in this big forest, he does not recognize the way. Chakra perception. Suddenly, Chinsho Tobarama closed his eyes, and suddenly, his perception ability increased exponentially. 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, within a short moment, within 1,000 miles, all targets with chakra strength and life strength are in the perception. Huh, that's Yunyin's ninja. Chinsho Tobarama found that 800 miles away, there was a ninja team of about 14 or 5 people, of which 333 were chakras who had reached the level of Shengnin, and there was one person who was above the shadow level. Looks like they're going to attack Konoha. Follow them and you'll get to Konoha. Without thinking much, Chinsho Tobarama immediately locked the direction and walked quickly. In fact, he can be faster. As the developer of Flying God Thunder technique, of course he knows this ninjutsu, and he can do lightning flashes and travel through space on his way. However, there is no special kunai at hand, and there is no way to use it at will, so I have to slowly follow it away. The gap between the two worlds, in the dark world. Phew. The light curtain reflected Senju Tobarama's appearance and what he was doing. How about you two? Chinyang said with a chuckle, resurrection is something that can be exchanged for such a cheap price with me. Just think about it. Hearing this, Chinsho Zujian shook his head and said, who is that, angel? Huh. Although I don't know where Tsunade knew this kind of person, but what the other party is asking for is also a ninjutsu scroll, which is the same as your purpose. Moreover, you can forcibly summon the Ho-Oh, he said. If you don't know each other, I find it incredible. Quote. As expected of the first generation, it is quite amazing to realize this. You really know each other. J. Of course, you have heard what he said. When the world undergoes great changes, the second generation master of life and destruction will wake up. I don't know what will happen at that time. Now that your brother is resurrected, he may be able to stop it. There are big powers around, but when Akatsuki organizes the action, it is still not enough to see. An LT.M. Chinyang didn't answer directly, just said ambiguously. Senju Hasuma nodded, I see. If you want, I'll give it to you. Since Tobarama has been resurrected, I'll be the next one. Sarutobi, how about you? Even the first generation said so let's do it. Sarutobi his inside. I left a big trouble for Konoha, or I will solve it myself after my resurrection. Orochimaru, that young man is really good. Chinsho Hasuma praised. By the way, Uchiha Chin, after we are resurrected, the dirt is reincarnated, can we still be reincarnated? Of course not. Then I'm relieved. Hearing this, Chinyang waved his hand, and once again made a pair of blank scrolls. Let's start, I will come back when you finish transcribing. After speaking, the figure of the other person disappeared in a flash. What do you think he's going to do? Chinshujuma whispered. Do what? I'm afraid I'm looking for the fourth generation. Chinsho Hasuma smiled and said, the fourth generation also use the corpse to seal up, and our situation is similar. Since Uchiha Chin wants a ninjutsu scroll, it makes no sense. 4 generations will be spared. Quote. It turns out that it is indeed possible, but it is already like this, and another 4 generations may be better for us. Thinking about the resurrection of Hokage in all dynasties, Konoha is simply unstoppable. Sarutobi Hizen couldn't help but feel a little moved, and Konoha might not be able to dominate the ninja world at that time, provided that Uchiha Chin didn't have this interest. No, what I'm worried about is that since we can be resurrected, those people in history may have all contact with him. Shinshujuma said solemnly. So, the most urgent task now is to revive it earlier. There will definitely be major changes in the future. Before that, we must do our best to enhance the power of Konoha. Yes, the first generation. The country of earth, the country of wind, the country of fire, the intersection of the three great countries is the country of rain. The rescue team sent by Tsunade had already entered the country of rain. They rushed all night without stopping, and finally entered the country of rain before dark. The people who acted this time were mainly three Junin. Hatake Kakashi, Matekai, and a root ninja, Ja, sent by Danzo. This person knows the first generation of would escape, although the level is far inferior to the first generation, but nowadays, it is a rare species. In addition to the three Konoha Jonin, the rescue team from the Land of Wind is coming. Of course, they are definitely not as fast as Konoha's people. Sean, let's take a rest first. Everyone's condition is not good, so rashly breaking into the enemy's base camp will make you passive. I panted and said, Senior Kakashi, you rest first, I'll watch the night. No, I'll come, you and Kai rest first. Kakashi shook his head and said, 6 hours of rest, wait until 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, we will go again, and strive to enter Urin village before dawn. Okay. Seeing the two begin to rest, Hatake Kakashi jumped on top of a big tree, leaned against the trunk, closed his eyes and rested. He touched his left eye, and the left eye under the forehead was aching. As this feeling, Uchiha Itachi is nearby. Not to mention his mind, in a dark cave. A golem stood upright, with a ninja standing on each of its 10 fingers. The golem spit out a strange substance, wrapped the four-tailed old purple, and extracted the four-tailed monkey king from its body. I heard that the nine-tailed kid was run away. Deidara said, Pain, what's going on? You don't have to worry about it, I will be responsible for the 9 tails myself. Tiandao Pain said indifferently. Now that 1 tail, 4 tails, and 5 tails have been captured, the rest of the tailed beasts must also speed up. Someone is near us. The dried persimmon ghost shark glanced at Itachi, and was surprised that this guy actually overcame Pain's lantern body technique. Mr. Itachi, what do you think? Konoha's rescue team is Kakashi and the others. Don't know how they found it around here. It's just a coincidence. Feiduan smiled and said, I'm not interested. I'm not interested either, so I can't make money. Angle said indifferently. Seeing this, Pain said indifferently, I'll leave it to you. Understand. Chapter 0876-skirmish. The action is controlled by the ontology, the eternal self-consciousness. After the chakra is used up, the controlled body dies, and returns to its original appearance after death. This technique is basically useless, and it is not much different from the shadow clone. The only advantage is that it can be used for 2 purposes. Only to listen to Pain, it will take a few days to peel off the 2-tailed beasts one after another. It is not suitable to be disturbed now. I will use the elephant turning technique to make it easier for the 2 of you to move. No problem. Then it begins. The peeling of the tailed beast needs to be done together by individuals, so that it can be completed at the fastest speed. Therefore, it is still very suitable for the art of elephant turning at this time. As soon as their thoughts moved, both the phantom body Itachi and the dried persimmon ghost shark felt that their consciousness was divided into 2, and one of them was projected into the other body. Outside this base, the appearance of the 2 ninjas changed, and they successively became the appearance of Itachi and Oni. This is the first time I've experienced this ninjutsu. Rinnegan is amazing. Dried persimmon ghost shark shook hands, feeling much weaker than his own body, unfortunately, only 30% of his strength. However, it should be no problem for those who block Konoha. Mr. Itachi, next. He didn't know where Konoha's people were, so he could only ask Itachi. Come with me, there to the southwest, about 20 miles away. Itachi Phantom said lightly. I left a mark in Kakashi's eyes, and he didn't even know it. It is a spiritual imprint. When I gave the other party a monthly reading, I left this thing. This is similar to Uchiha Itachi's transcription seal. The other party can find the location of Uchiha Sasuke through this, and it will naturally be able to find Kakashi. Let's go then. Immediately, the two took advantage of the night to move unhurriedly, and slowly headed towards the southwest direction Q. Soon after about 12 o'clock at night Sitting against the tree, Kakashi was closing his eyes, and suddenly opened his eyes. The left eye is swollen. He was awe-inspiring. It's Itachi. This feeling very close. Exposed. Why? Before he could think about it, he immediately shouted in a low voice, someone is here, prepare for battle. Hearing that, Matekai and Ja woke up at the same time. Both of them were ninjas who had experienced many battles. In this case, there was no need to say much, and they quickly hid themselves. What's going on? We've gone all the way, and we've removed the traces. How could it be discovered? Ja felt incredible. The opponent is Shao, no matter what happens, don't panic. Kakashi said solemnly, shish. Listening to the sound, the other party did not hide his breath. It is about 300 meters away from the northeast. Salsa. The sound of footsteps passing through the bushes was very clear in the silent night. Come on. Suddenly, Kakashi's eyes narrowed, and through the darkness, he saw the person who made the project. The two of them were wearing Akatsuki's uniform, and they were very familiar with each other. Dried persimmon ghost shark, Uchiha Itachi. Kakashi secretly said, sure enough. The three suppressed their breath to a minimum, preparing to launch a sneak attack at a critical moment. However, Itachi suddenly stopped. Don't hide, we found this place on purpose, don't we know that you are hiding? Kakashi, long time no see. As soon as these words came out, the surroundings were still quiet, except for the chirping of insects. Mr. Itachi, these people don't give face, do you want to set fire to it? Dried persimmon ghost shark laughed. Really? You? Wanton Itachi made a seal calmly and then opened his mouth to spit. Fire escape, the fire is extinguished bing bing. Puff. The manic flame quickly devoured a large area in front of it, and could almost clear an area with a radius of tens of meters at once. The three of Kakashi couldn't hide, knowing that the other party was not cheating them, so they had to show up from the shadows one by one. Senior Kakashi, the situation is not good, it's Uchiha Itachi and Dried Persimmon Demon. Jia's face was solemn. You step back, leave it to me and Kai. Kakashi hinted, understand, once any of us fall into illusion, you will shoot. Yes. Fall into illusion. Itachi closed his eyes, and the next moment, the pupil power of the kaleidoscope was instantly projected. You do. Swish. Heaven and earth change. The night disappeared, replaced by a blood moon, and the ground of blood underfoot. Kakashi's face changed greatly. He didn't look into Uchiha Itachi's eyes at all, and he could even be pulled into the spiritual space by reading. Your pupil technique has become stronger. Kakashi was secretly shocked. He found himself trapped on a cross, and Itachi was standing in front of him. No one stays in place all the time, Kakashi, you can rely on me to use the kaleidoscope pupil technique, and you should also understand the growth of the writing wheel eye. Itachi said, what do you guys want to do here? What can you do with just the three of you? Rescue Renzuli, Kakashi said solemnly. What did you do to Naruto? Sean, save him. That's not necessary, he has already escaped, and now he is nowhere to be seen, maybe in the land of Taki, next door. Itachi Kwanshin shook his head and said, compared to this, what do you think? 9 flowers. You want to say, resurrection. Kakashi looked heavy. Yes, you should know by now that what I said is not false. Your copy eye has copied thousands of ninjutsu, and it is still possible to revive 1 or 2 people at a sufficient price. You talk too much, and you read it every month when you meet, just to say this. Kakashi tried to resist, but the difference in pupil power was too great. Even if the same kaleidoscope, 1 eye, and 2 eyes, the gap is huge, not to mention, the Phantom Itachi is an eternal kaleidoscope. You don't want to revive your father. Your childhood friend, Lin, that little girl should like you very much. It's a pity that he died early. Lin. A trace of sadness flashed in Kakashi's eyes, and he recovered after a while. Where's Obito? You ignored Obito on purpose. He's not dead, of course there's no resurrection. What? Kakashi was shocked. He didn't think it was going to deceive him in such a place. It's just a fact. He is active in the darkness in an identity you can't imagine. Itachi was too lazy to talk nonsense. Choose, do you want to resurrect someone? In the Land of Fire, it is about 300 miles away from Konoha village. A Union ninja team is slowly lurking going. In the line, a Chunin walked last, his eyes flashing with the flames of vengeance. Konoha, Sasuke Uchiha's heart fluctuated violently. Last night, he killed a genin in the team, and with the help of Orochimaru, he disguised himself into it, ready to find trouble with Konoha. The shadow-level ninja that Senju Tobirama sensed earlier was him. That's right, his eyes have reached the level of eternal kaleidoscope, chakra, and also reached the shadow level, a 12-year-old shadow level, which is extremely rare. Of course, this is the result of removing the seedlings. Compared with the real shadow level, it is still not as good. If you really fight, you may not be able to beat the previous Uchiha Itachi. Wait. Suddenly, a Junin in front couldn't help but said, don't you think it's strange? We didn't encounter any obstacles along the way. Even if Konoha is weakening, it's impossible for them to not know about our invasion. Yes, compared to this, I always feel that there is an aura looming behind me. Behind. Sasuke Uchiha's expression froze, and he turned his head suddenly. In his pupils, a chrysanthemum-shaped writing wheel suddenly appeared. Someone, he whispered. The next moment, I saw a stream of water rushing in from the darkness behind. Has it been discovered? What a powerful perception, isn't it a normal ninja? A Chunin. A voice came from 1,000 hands. Chapter 0877-Rare Beast. Come at me. Sasuke Uchiha's face changed slightly, his pupils shrank immediately, and he subconsciously activated the pupil technique. Amaterasu. Puff. The black flames soaring into the sky poured out in one breath, blocked the technique of water dragon bullets in an instant, and annihilated in one breath. This is... Chinsho Tobirama couldn't help but be surprised. He slowly walked out of the darkness behind and walked all the way to the front of everyone. Kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, who are you? A very ordinary Chunin suddenly took out a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. How is this possible? He felt it carefully, and was even more surprised that the Chunin chakra in front of him had reached the shadow level. Is he the one I sensed from 800 miles away? Chinsho Tobirama felt that the times were changing too fast. He couldn't keep up with the rhythm, and he could meet such a young shadow-level powerhouse casually. He looked at Sasuke Uchiha suspiciously. Sasuke Uchiha was taken aback by his own abilities. This is Itachi's, Amaterasu, I can use it subconsciously. He couldn't help recalling what Lu Daoban told him, and now he was more and more convinced that what his brother did was forced by Konoha, and his hatred for Konoha was deepening. Who are you? Konoha's ninja. Thinking of this, Uchiha Sasuke stared at Chinsho Tobirama. He always felt that he had seen this face before and he had not seen it in general. Hearing this, Chinsho Tobirama hasn't opened his mouth yet, and several Joinin members in the team are all shocked. XR. Who are you? You're not Luby, Shiranyan, you're Konoha's spy. No, wait, that guy, that silver-haired guy Senju Tobirama. Impossible, How many years has Senju Tobarama been dead? Second Hokage, how could he be alive? You are crazy. The scene was too chaotic, and everyone was in a state of confusion. Shinsho Tobarama's face was engraved on Hokage rock, and even a ninja from the Land of Thunder, with a little knowledge, could probably recognize it. Just because I recognized it, I felt incredible. I'm Senju Tobarama. Shinsho Tobarama admitted frankly, but kept his eyes fixed on Sasuke Uchiha. You have a shackle, the Uchiha family. Who are you? Who am I? He. Sasuke Uchiha sneered. I am a man of revenge. I don't care if you are the second Hokage or not. Since it is from Konoha, then kill it. And GT. Between the words, he clapped his palms, and suddenly, lightning flashed above his hands. Thunderclaw. The next moment, he charged towards Shinsho Tobarama. Muji ninjutsu. It's really surprising. You are so young. With this strength, you are definitely not unknown. Shinsho Tobarama felt extremely surprised for a while. He had no intention of killing, but he made up his mind to capture the boy in front of him and bring him back to Konoha. Water escape. Water formation wall. Senju Tobarama opened his mouth and spat out a wall of water that was as violent as an ocean wave, blocking Sasuke Uchiha's advance. Water dungeons to defend thunder dungeons. Sasuke Uchiha sneered, and after getting close, he slapped the wall of the water array with one paw. Normally, the water can conduct electricity, and the wall of the water formation will be smashed with one paw, and the root can't stop him. However, as soon as he slapped the paw down, his complexion changed slightly. A swimming snake, and it actually wrapped his hands around him, making him unable to escape. Not only that, even the thunder and lightning in his palms could not be exported too far. The same water escape, different users have different effects. It doesn't match your chakra, and you have little combat experience. Shinsho Tobarama observed the situation of Uchiha Sasuke, and he was surprised to find that this guy had a lot of strength, but his performance was very limited. Water escape, water blade slash. Thinking of this, he spit out immediately, and a water slash shot out. Sasuke Uchiha felt anxious in his heart. The kaleidoscope writing wheel was running rapidly, and the huge pupil power projected outward with almost no restraint. The downside is that he is an eternal kaleidoscope. If an ordinary kaleidoscope is squandered like this, it won't take long before he will be blinded. Damn it. Yandunjaji U Earth Life. Puff. Black Amaterasu flame appeared again, and this time, its shape changed, no longer the flame of whooping, but the shape of a blade, and slammed towards the Thousand Hands Tobarama. That blocked Amaterasu before, just touched it a little, and immediately disappeared. Is this also a kaleidoscope pupil technique? Shinsho Tobarama was secretly surprised, and had no intention of underestimating it, so he immediately made a decisive move. Water escape hard vortex water blade. Puff. The water out of thin air swirled around his right arm in the shape of a vortex, then turned into a water javelin and threw it violently. Shon. The moment he threw it out, a huge waterspout was instantly set off, drowning the blade formed by Amaterasu in it. What shall we do? Seeing that the two sides were fighting fiercely, several people on the side couldn't help but peep at each other. Everyone looked at the team leader and listened to him grit his teeth. Both sides are not good things, but let's solve Senju Tobarama first. Whether it's true or false, this guy must be from Konoha. Yes. Immediately, more than a dozen ninjas launched a siege, assisting Uchiha Sasuke, and launched a siege against Shinsho Tobarama. On the other side, the country of rain, the forest. Kakashi. Matekai shouted in a low voice. The next moment, Kakashi covered his eyes, thumped, and fell to his knees on the ground. Wanshin Itachi looked indifferent, looked down at the other party, and said, "Do you understand? With the strength of the few of you, you still want to save people. It doesn't matter what sacrifice." Kakashi was silent, obviously suffering great pain. Matekai took a deep breath and shouted, "8 inner gates 6th gate of view." Boom. 5.4 In an instant, the flame-like chakra erupted from his body in a manner visible to the naked eye. Nateke's face was full of blue veins, and because of the huge explosion of chakra, his skin was dyed dark red, and the whole person was like a runaway lion, exuding a Ling-Ran aura. "Hey, you take Kakashi out first, and I'll stop these two. Quick!" Matt K growled. Seeing this, the dried persimmon ghost shark, "Hey Isho," said, "it's a monster, and it can burst out with this level of chakra. I am really impressed," with thick eyebrows. "Mr. Itachi, leave this guy to me, his chakra should be delicious." Quote. He didn't know when he brought the shark muscle broadsword over. Between the words, he has thrown away the big knife and rushed up. "I just don't know if your strength is as rude as your appearance." Chapter 0878-6 Gates of Peacock. The dried persimmon ghost shark grinned with a big sword and rushed towards the opponent with a stride. Seeing this, Kai immediately shouted, "Come on." Saying that, he faced the other side. Knowing that he couldn't hesitate, quickly grabbed Kakashi and quickly escaped from this place of right and wrong. Boom. And at the moment when the two fled with their front feet, a fight broke out on their back feet. The dried persimmon shark slashed down with a knife, and was blocked by Matekai with a kick. The collision between the two caused a strong wind and waves, which blew the surrounding trees into pieces. What? Matekai frowned suddenly. He felt that part of his chakra had been absorbed. He didn't dare to be careless at the moment. He quickly retreated, and watched intently. Have you found it?" The dried persimmon ghost shark carried the big knife and said with a smile, "This knife is called shark muscle, which can absorb the enemy's chakra. Just now, 1/10 of the chakra you burst out has been sucked away, right? A few more strokes and you'll be human." "Is that so? It's really a dangerous weapon. You were the strongest of the 7 ninja swordsmen back then." Matekai did not panic, and said calmly, "Whether I run out of chakra first, or kill you first, then try." Between the words, he jumped up and jumped to a height of 20 or 30 meters. The next moment, he quickly threw a fist, making a fist shadow. The fists were heavily shadowed, and the number of punches in an instant, even Wanshi Itachi could not fully see. Each punch rubbed the air, thus creating flames, which were endless. Under the shadow of a set of punches, it was like a meteor shower of fire, and it was like a peacock opening its screen, endless. Phew! Towards the peacock. Matt K roared. Bing! The night was like day, the flames dyed the sky red, as bright as the sunrise, and as dazzling as the feathers of a peacock. What? The dried persimmon ghost shark's face changed greatly. This move is too terrifying. The power of a single punch is not considered, but its number, scale, and coverage, there is no room for evasion. Crap. After 100 battles, he immediately had a bad premonition, but it was too late now. To accept this move head-on, I am afraid that I will be instantly killed. So, don't look down on others too much. Wanshin Itachi spoke lightly. He didn't mean to take action, and it was too late. Anyway, it was just a body of the image-turning technique, and if he died, he would die. Q Chang equals. I remember. The dried persimmon ghost shark gritted his teeth, and at the last moment, threw the shark muscle broadsword backwards, and threw it at the phantom body Itachi. Mike. Next time. W Ming. Square root. Boom boom boom. A series of roars sounded, and the fist of flame engulfed the dried persimmon ghost shark. At this moment, Rao Shishin Itachi opened his riding wheel eyes, and he couldn't see what tragic situation this guy was beaten into. After a while, when the roar dissipated, the dust faded, and a large pit had appeared on the ground. In the pothole, a charred corpse was beaten out of human form and could not die any longer. Cough cough. Matekai couldn't help coughing, and the corners of his mouth overflowed to donate blood. He glanced at the destruction scene, and saw the figure of Itachi Phantom in the smoke. There's one more tricky one, but the family just died like this. It's better to withdraw quickly if you don't, because there's no chance of winning one-on-one against Shiranyan. You. Thinking of this, Matekai immediately ran away. It was an accident that Chow Peacock could kill the dried persimmon ghost shark in seconds, and even he was surprised. My mission is to stop you from going, you can run as you please. Itachi's voice came and fell into Matekai's ears. The nine-tailed man, Zuli, has already escaped from Rainin village, but he is in the form of a tailed beast and has lost his mind. The direction of escape is the country of Taki. You can do it yourself. As for the one-tailed man Zuli, he is already dead, and there is no need for you to save it. The sound went away, and the battlefield here also subsided. Itachi glanced at the shark mussel on the ground, walked over and picked it up. Did you run away? It's really boring. It's only the 6th gate. If all 8 gates are open, it will be interesting. He wasn't interested in chasing either, so he immediately put aside his anxiety and turned around and went back the same way. At the same time, in the other direction of the forest, in a tree hole. Kakashi's spirit was weak, and when he saw Kai chasing after him, he immediately said, "You don't even have that move." Cough cough, no way. If you don't do this, you can't stop those 2 people, but they don't seem to have any intention of chasing. I solved one and ran away immediately. Matekai was sore all over, and said tremblingly, Uchiha Itachi said that Naruto's tail turned into a beast and ran in the direction of the land of Taki. What kind of calculus did he play? Whether it's true or not, let's not mention it. The other party said so. There is always a purpose. It's probably true. If so, tomorrow we will look into the information, and we can know that the nine-tailed man Zuli, such a big target and such a big movement, is easy to find. The problem is it has to be before the others. Kakashi said softly. I see. In short, find a safe place to rest today. You have endured another monthly reading. If this continues, sooner or later, you will have a nervous breakdown. Matekai shook his head and said, you are in charge of the vigil, and Kakashi and I will rest first. Yes, don't worry. On the other side, in the land of fire, Uchiha Sasuke cried out in pain, and the whole person flew away. Beside him, more than a dozen Union ninjas fell to the ground, panting and gloomy. In the battlefield, only Senju Tobarama still maintained a calm expression. Sure enough, your strength is strengthening the seedlings, right? The real combat strength is not as terrible as I thought. He walked slowly towards Sasuke Uchiha. At this moment, Sasuke was injured, and the camouflage technique had been cracked, revealing his original appearance. It's you, Senju Tobarama suddenly said. I saw you in the Chunin exam last time. At that time, Uchiha Sasuke and Aikido Shurigara were fighting to the death, and he glanced slightly. Unbelievable, in a short period of time, it has grown so much. Is it because of that person? He thought of Uchiha Chin, and that person had this ability. Damn. Sasuke Uchiha gritted his teeth. He was about to launch his revenge when he encountered such a great enemy. He can now be sure that the person in front of him is definitely the second generation of Naruto. Are you Konoha's ninja? Why are you lurking in this team? You seem to have hatred for Konoha. Shinsho Tobarama was a little enlightened, but still asked the same question. Asshole, don't underestimate me too much. Sasuke Uchiha looked furious, and the kaleidoscope writing wheel in his eyes ran wildly. Susanoo, pen. Boom. The need for a half-armed god suddenly manifested. Chapter 0879-Susanoo's Thunder Spear. Unlike Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo, Uchiha Sasuke's Susanoo is purple in color. But now, as he is now, he can't fully grasp this move, and the Susanoo that appears is only half a skeleton. Susanoo, a ninjutsu I miss so much. A flash of memory flashed in Shinsho Tobarama's eyes, which he had seen before, on the Uchiha brothers. At the beginning, the two brothers Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Kwana both turned on the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Of course, this trick was used. Looking at your state, there is a time limit to open it. Although it is the ultimate offensive and defensive ninjutsu, it will not last long if you are the user. 5 minutes at most. Chinsho Tobarama looked at each other from a distance, and said, however, since you were related to that person, I wouldn't be able to kill you, it would be a bit troublesome. How to subdue Sasuke Uchiha, this is the question. He guessed that Sasuke had a relationship with Uchiha Chin. He had just been resurrected thanks to the other party's blessing, but he couldn't kill the other party's people with his backhand. But if he doesn't give up, he really can't solve Sasuke Uchiha for a while, and Chinsho Tobarama feels a headache. Bastard, don't think I don't know that you were the one who sent the family away from the center of the village and gave this order. As long as I'm still alive, sooner or later I will avenge Konoha. Today, I will kill you first. Uchiha Sasuke's expression was indifferent and his emotions were excited. His figure was hidden inside Susanoo, and he slowly formed a handprint, Thunder Escape Thunder Gun. I saw Susanoo's hands suddenly slapped, and the next moment, the whole body was filled with thunder, and a thunder spear suddenly appeared in his palm. Seeing this, Chinsho Hashirama changed color for the first time, revealing a solemn expression. This thunderbolt. He has a very good chakra perception ability, and he can easily make judgments. The power contained in that shot was extremely terrifying, surpassing ordinary S-rank ninjutsu. This is the first time that Chin Yang has used a fully powerful version after he taught Sasuke Uchiha, and he must rely on the medium of Susanoo, otherwise, the violent power of lightning is not something he can bear. Go to hell. With a loud roar, Sasuke Uchiha threw the thunder spear frantically. At this point, he has reached the limit and can only use this mass destruction move to destroy the opponent. As for the Union ninja who was involved, there was nothing he could do. He couldn't control that much. I saw that in the dark night, a thunder light shuttled through the space, flying over a distance of tens of hundreds of meters, and shot straight towards Chinsho Tobarama. Careless. Chinsho Tobarama's face turned dark. Sure enough, even a child can't underestimate the relationship with that person. There is such a ninjutsu. He didn't have time to think about his emotions. He quickly formed the seal, and when his mind moved, the whole person suddenly disappeared out of thin air. Flying Thunder God Technique. Whoosh. With a flash of light and shadow, the thunder spear lost its target, pierced through the ground with a single blow, and exploded. Boom. The pillar of thunder light soaring into the sky illuminates the night. Under the sluggish ground of a dozen Union ninjas, the pillar of thunder light rapidly spreads and expands, encompassing everything within a radius of several thousand meters. The entire forest seemed to be overturned, the mud and rocks rolled back, and the towering ancient trees were instantly turned black and gray under the thunder. In a forest about 300 kilometers away from Konoha, the central area, in a short period of time, has been cleared of a bare and dark area. Suffering from such a terrifying power of lightning and annihilation, not even an inch of grass was left here. Bing! As for Union's ninja, such a close distance has turned into dust. After a while, the scorched earth suddenly turned a few times, and Sasuke Uchiha, who was in a state of embarrassment, crawled out. Cough cough. With a wow, he coughed and vomited blood. The body is not fully developed, and even the most basic Susanoo can't bear it. Damn, he escaped. Just at that moment, what was it? People suddenly disappear. Time and space ninjutsu. You have to run away quickly, or he will turn back and I will be the fish on the chopping board. While gritting his teeth, Uchiha Sasuke endured the pain and fled one step at a time. I thought I had obtained the eternal kaleidoscope, and I was ready to take revenge, but I didn't expect that my strength was not enough. I want to become stronger. Now that I am like this, there is no way to destroy Konoha. Sasuke Uchiha gritted his teeth, and his embarrassed figure slowly dived into the darkness. Meanwhile, about 100 miles away from the center of the explosion, Chinsho Tobarama stood on top of a big tree and looked out from a distance. He saw the eruption of the thunder spear and couldn't help but say, "What a terrifying ninjutsu! If I hadn't done it before, I would have left behind, flying." Thor's mark, I was afraid that he would die in the hands of that kid just now. For his flying thunder god technique, he needs to touch objects or human bodies with his hands and mark the flying thunder god, so as to travel through space. When he approached the Union team earlier, he left a lot of marks, just in case, but he didn't expect to be forced to use this trick. However, that kid also has the Mark 1 left on him. It's easy to find him, and now it's the last resort. After a little hesitation, Shinsho Tobarama immediately chose to give up. Forget it, it's better not to touch him for the time being if you have something to do with that person. It's just a person, it doesn't matter, Yun is the big problem. Sean. Thinking of this, he locked the direction of Konoha and hurriedly walked towards the village. In the gap between the two worlds of darkness, a white god of death floated, and suddenly someone appeared in front of him. Finally found it. Chinyong, Vivi Isho, said, "It's not easy, Namikaze Minato, part of your soul is in this death god's body, right?" The white god of death looked at Chinyong with no expression, and didn't even care about the person who suddenly appeared. He was still drifting, going somewhere unknown. Chinyong was too lazy to talk nonsense with him, punched him, shattered the vacuum, wiped it out, and grabbed a soul. Namikaze Minato, a young man with blonde hair, slowly opened his eyes and saw Chinyong. "It's you. Oh, you know me." Chinyong raised his eyebrows in surprise. "I left a seal in Naruto's body back then. Not long ago, you touched the seal, and then I knew you existed." Minato Namikaze looked around, and after a while he said, "I see, you rescued me." He. Chinyong smiled, but said, "Namaifung Minato, what do you think I'm looking for you on purpose?" Hearing this, Bo-feng Shui's face was calm, and with his wisdom, after a little thought, he could guess a few points. 9 Tails. Chapter 0880 Jojo I am not a man anymore. I don't think so. And GT. Back then, you split the 9 tails into 2, the yin attribute was sealed in the body of the god of death, and the yang attribute was left to your son. Chinyong said calmly, "I want the 9-tailed chakra, do I still need to find you? It can save you from the belly of death, what do you think about this kind of thing?" "That is. Look." Chinyong raised his finger a little, and suddenly, in the darkness, a screen appeared. On the screen, a small 9 tails were rushing on the ground. Wherever it passed, disasters continued, bringing destruction, burning earth, ruined walls, and mourning from time to time. "Do you still know?" Chinyong asked. "Naruto." Minato Namikaze was sluggish for a moment, how could this happen? 9 tails died once, and it left a trace of power in Naruto's body. This trace of power is absorbing Naruto's vitality in order to be reborn. Now, it is just a further presentation of this result. Well, now it is the level of 5 tails, it's still early. Chinyong glanced at him, shook his head and said, "When the 9 tails appear, Naruto Uzumaki is going to die." "That's not right, my seal still exists, why is this happening?" Minato Namikaze felt that the seal he left was not broken. "You did it." "No, I don't know exactly what happened, but 9 times out of 10, Naruto Uzumaki took the initiative to accept the power of the 9 tails." Chinyong chuckled and said, "Now, I can give you a choice. Transcribe all the ninjutsu you have mastered in your life, and I will bring your soul back to the human world." This is the purpose. Ninjutsu. Namikaze Minato was very puzzled, collecting so many ninjutsu, what does this person want to do? "Who the hell are you?" "Phew. Uchiha Chin." Chinyong pondered for a while, but smiled. "No, you can call me Emperor Chin, the leader of the illusion." "Have not heard." Minato Namikaze thought to himself, but he shook his head and said, "Although I'm worried about Naruto's situation, I won't entrust ninjutsu to you. I believe him, with his words, I can overcome the difficulties in front of me. Sooner or later, the power of the 9 tails will be used by him." "Really?" Hearing this, Chinyong was noncommittal. "Then let's just look at it like this. and hope that the follow-up development will be as you think. Between the words, he dodged, his figure slowly passed through the space, shuttled between yin and yang, and disappeared. Back in the world, Qin Yang appeared on a battlefield. The former battlefield, a battlefield of the Three Kingdoms War within the range of Yuran village. This place is full of death energy. Countless ninjas have died in the past. I don't know how many people have been buried here, and the earth has been stained with blood. But now, there is a huge palace beneath this dead battlefield. The great underground tomb of Nazareth. In the deepest part of the palace, in the bottom space, is a hall. Above the hall, Qin Yang's figure shuttled through the space and appeared on the throne. Clean up the recent harvest. Qin Yang waved his hand and rolled out a ninjutsu scroll. For rakeage, about 100 scrolls are provided. Tsunade delivered a total of 300 copies. 400 servings prepared by Orochimaru are now in place. 450 copies of Senju Tobarama. There is a total of zeros and zeros before and after, throwing away the repeated ninjutsu, about 9 absorbable ninjutsu. Dao, and GT. To raise Ain's Gong to 5-star level, only about 600 copies are needed, and there is still 1/3 left. Qin Yang pondered, thinking about how to arrange it. 5-star must be upgraded, and how to distribute the extra ones is a problem. He still has some phantoms, and he is still 2-star and 3-star. If he upgrades these, it is not enough. It seems that we can consider opening a new phantom body. If it is not ideal, then discard it, shatter it, and turn it into a phantom crystal to improve the 6-star level. Thinking of this, Qin Yang couldn't help shaking his head. The problem is, although the mandatory time for each transformation has been shortened a lot from the first week, it can't be turned on continuously. It can only come step by step. In short, let's raise Ain's Gong first. This is quite simple to do. In just a short while, after consuming more than 600 scrolls, Ain's Gong has reached a 5-star level. The 23rd change. The Undead King, Ain's Gong. Star rating. Ability 1. Undead, Tier 10. Ability 2. Great Magician, Tier 10. Ability 3. Throne of Kings. Ability 4. The Great Underground Tomb of Nazareth. Ability 5. Krypton Gold Item Warehouse. The 5th ability, as Qin Yang expected, is all kinds of powerful kryptonite items, including Blood Bottle and Blue Bottle. Of course, these things are worthless in the game, but in reality, they are fetishes of life and death. It's still sloppy, as expected. Sean. Qin Yang understood a little and put it aside. Then, he took out another 100 scrolls and absorbed them directly. The 24th transformation before you know it, there are already 24 phantom bodies, even compared to the 72 transformations of Monkey King, it's still a bit worse. In a low voice, Qin Yang's appearance began to change. This time the movement was very small, there was almost no fluctuation, but the appearance of the characters was changing. Qin Yang's black hair was quickly dyed golden, and the white clothes on his body also turned into golden clothes. Not only that, the face of an Oriental person changed into that of a Western person, which was extremely abrupt. This is... Qin Yang was stunned, and information about the new transformation began to appear in his mind. It's really a strange phantom. It turned out to be a vampire. 4th change. Dio Brando. Star rating. Ability 1. Vampire body. Ability 2. Gasification and freezing. It's really nothing special. Qin Yang touched his new face, and said helplessly, the biggest feature is probably the cocky posture, right? He shook his head with a laugh, still having to look at the specific abilities. The body of a vampire is well understood: strange power, blood-sucking, immortality, resilience, regeneration, etc., almost perfectly fit most of the characteristics of vampires. Secondly, ability 2, which is to vaporize the water in the body to freeze the opponent who touches it. This move can theoretically ensure an undefeated position in close combat. Of course, it's just theory. Actually, it's also sloppy. If ability 5 is Time stands still, it's barely worth watching. Chinyang chuckled and said, "This guy's famous saying is, Jojo, I'm not a man anymore, but he has a very villainous attitude." Put it aside for now. Chinyang began to observe the current battle situation in the ninja world.